Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Where's my face? Oh, wait. Hold it. Wait a second. Wait. There we go. Alright. It's probably going to be way too hot for the sweater, but I like the shawl for the vibes of the stream, so we'll see how it goes, but... There we go. There we go. I'll maybe leave it unbuttoned. Oh. Hello, hello. Looks like everyone's here, everyone's ready, everyone's all warmed up. Hope you guys enjoyed the starting soon screen I added. Oh, Catch is here, lovely. It's something I've literally put together today, so I'll mess around with it a little bit more, and I don't have something for, how do you say, I don't have an ending screen, unfortunately, yet, so I will have to cut it off as normal, but I will be planning on adding that soon enough as well. I'm surprised it went as well as it did, but yeah, I put it together. It was surprisingly easy, and I think it turned out pretty well. I quite like it. I hope you guys enjoy that as well. Little chance to convene and discuss amongst yourselves before I come on. Since I'm going to be late anyways, might as well make it part of the stream, right? And I'm going to try having my mic over here. Hopefully the audio sounds all right to you guys. It's off to the side instead of in front of me as usual, just so I can not have it like bumping into my chair the whole time. So, looks like everyone's here as usual. Let me see, this one shouldn't be sliding over. That should be good. And as we're getting started, there are people who are trickling on in. Hopefully the stream quality is all right. Let me know how it looks to you guys. I'm getting an error on YouTube saying I need to change the video resolution, and I'm not really sure how to do that, so let me know if it's coming out all right for you guys, or if it's looking a little bit weird. YouTube might just be saying, might just be making nonsense, but we'll see. We'll see what you guys have to say about it. But in the meantime, I'm really excited. I'm glad you guys are here because, yeah, this is going to be a really fun stream. It's going to be a full just... I'm not going to be, like, going through the seasons, like, specifically, and, like, going through each episode, obviously, but I will be going through... I'll be talking about, like, certain things I like and, like, just the general format and, like, how the seasons have gone, which season's my favorite, and any questions you guys have. Like, my favorite character... Miwa, obviously, and the close seconds, which is a little bit more of a competition. I'm also going to figure out how to get this camera right. That should be good. Alright, so in the meantime, let me scroll up to the tippity top of the chat here, and let's just see who's here with us. Yep, first of all, of course, we've got Alex, who did not have a power outage, thankfully, because he was worried whether he could make it or not, so I'm glad to see he could be here. Nona, of course, is also here. Everyone is currently you and I, Alex. And now Max Godard is here, which means the stream can begin. Love to see it. Mr. Light is here as well. A waiting screen. I hope you like how it looks. Like I said, I literally just put it together like within the past hour, and it's pretty simple, but I would say it's effective. I quite like it. Now, what's going to be a little bit less nice is the overlays going to be having, because I have an image slideshow that Alex may or may not be familiar with. But I couldn't really figure out a way to do it because I want to have the opening up here. As you can see, I've got this downloaded, also courtesy of Alex, and we'll be going through it. It won't be with the music, though, because I'm not that eager to have my career end before it begins. We've all been there, done that. So it won't be playing, and also it'll be like fast forward, kind of like me going through an actual episode. And we'll basically just go through the different parts and we'll talk about it. And you guys will give me most of the points that I'm going to be saying, and it's going to be in the video because I don't have a whole lot of points because I'm not good at analysis. That's what you guys are here for. I'm just here to be the pretty face that brings all you guys together. So I'm going to be counting on you guys for that. We got JT, Drew Tepen here. Drew Teppen. Just got to rewatch the Iron Lung movie from Some Known. Pretty fun. I haven't actually watched it yet. I've been looking for an opportunity to watch it. I know it just got it recently got a digital release. It's sad I wasn't able to watch it in theaters, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. I'll be looking forward to watching that when I get the opportunity to, probably with my brother. Mr. Light saw the topic of discussion and went, "Nope, not today." I'm not sure what you're referring to in that case, Mr. Light. Unless you no, you have been watching my JJK, right? There's no way you're only in Free I swear I've seen you in both. JT is lurking since ReZero. Oh, I can't wait to have ReZero on my channel. I'm not sure when it'll happen, but it definitely needs to be at some point because I still need to watch season 3 and season 4. So I'm really excited to eventually put that on my channel. Obviously, it won't be anytime soon though because we've got Vinland Saga to start up next week. That'll be really exciting. People talking about the no-brainers chat. Pogane nuked that channel. Okay, that's probably what you're talking about. Oh my goodness. I am terrified. I've been a good boy so far. I haven't looked at the No Brainers channel, but I'm sure there's only utter shenanigans going on. Max Godard is here and cooking pumpkin cream with croutons. I can't say I've ever had that before. That sounds incredible. JT's got whiskey. And Some Known's having a protein bar. Classic. I needed for the biggest swim across to the USA. Well, okay, yeah, I know you're excited for that Some Known, but at least wait until you evolve into a Napoleon. Trust me, you're gonna have a much better time if you just wait a little bit longer. And of course, then we've got Catch here. Max Godard, my face when it's going to be a bit of a shorter stream with 100% chances of technical difficulties. I'm about to witness peak. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm going to aim for like probably a 3-hour mark or so. We'll see how it goes, but there is plenty to talk about here. Obviously, a lot of it's going to be discussion led by you guys, seeing like what you guys want me to talk about, like certain things about JJK. But there are things like the opening that I'm going to be going through, and a lot of materials Alex was very generous enough to provide, and we'll basically see how that goes. So, however long it takes, I suppose. Yeah, people are talking about the filters, the music. Yeah, not going to be playing any music. I don't have a filter for this, but I don't think I'll need it, given that I'll be basically pausing and playing. I won't be going through the whole thing like all in one go because this isn't a reaction, right? It's just kind of analyzing it. I wish we could just listen to it and play it normally. Maybe if I were on Twitch, we could do that, but you're technically not supposed to there either. It's whatever though. The chat window is not on the screen, FYI. Oh, that's a good point. Oh, I see why. It's the overlay. Here we go. Oh, and now it's kind of see-through. Hold on. Why is it not? I think I might. It's not because of that, is it? No. If I do this. Oh, I see. Yeah, it needs to be more. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go onto my stream elements and I'm going to make that a little bit less see-through so that you guys can actually see the chat. Where is it? Continue book basics. Yeah, as you guys can see, the chat itself has changed a good bit. I'm using the streaming overlay that I use for my video games. So if I switch over here, you should be able to see this. Here's my for my Pokemon streams. So that similar green thing is also playing out over here. So I'm trying to mesh them a little bit and make this a little bit more interesting to watch, and hopefully it turns out well. Let me obviously let me guys. Wow, that bodes really well for the stream, doesn't it? Let me know what you guys think of it and what you guys think of all these little changes that I'm kind of messing around with. Because obviously I'm kind of new to this, especially with how many things I'm playing around with. So it's going to be a learning experience. How does that look? Let's see if this shows up. I don't know what this thing is, so I'm just going to delete that. I don't know what that thing in the top right corner is. Do I remove you? There we go. Then if I save, then I think I need to recopy and paste the overlay. Paste, boom. And chat is not showing up here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, is that just me? Or can you guys not see it either? That's a little concerning. Oh, here we go. Super Senior just reminds me of the Super Senior Gojo memes. I don't think I've seen them before, but okay, that's interesting. So when you change that, it kind of resets the chat. That's a little unfortunate, but that's fine. I mean, I've got the chat up here, so this is pretty much technical difficulties anyways. So I guess not really difficulties, just adjustments. So I guess that'll be fine. Anyways, You shouldn't see those memes, they're spoilers. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I mentioned this earlier, but I'd love to see you go over the manga up to this point. Whether you do it on video or not, I think it's so cool to see the differences. Currently rereading for my analysis. You know, Catch, that is a good idea. Like you said, I'm not sure if it would be on video or not, but I definitely wouldn't mind seeing how it looks, how the actual manga looks, and hold on, let me change this a little bit more. Now it's a little bit too opaque. Maybe if I bring it down to 75. It's gonna delete again, right? Saved. 75 is too much. Or too little. Maybe 88. See how that looks. All right, chat away. Let's test this. Let's see how this one looks right here. I think I already saved, so it should be good. Yeah, congrats on finishing your first series. Thank you, Catch. It's quite the experience going from beginning to a current end, and it's certainly something. I mean, obviously there's going to be many more where that came from, but it's a lot of fun. That tilted way too much. There we go. It's been an incredible series, obviously. It's kind of made my channel what it is with all of its like 700 subscribers, which I've just passed, which is really cool. But I can't wait to start Vinland Saga and for my viewer count to just completely plummet because everyone was here for JJK, but we'll see. Obviously the real ones will stick around, so it'll build slowly and surely. Kenjakuri, the topic Light was avoiding is in reference to the discussion me and Listo had about Mushoku Tensei. Okay, gotcha. That was probably the no-brainers thing we were talking about. Catch us playing Lies of P after finally being my last Dark Souls game of the trilogy. Ooh, fun. I have not played Dark Souls at all, and I probably don't intend to because I am not a masochist, and I am not good at video games in general. But that's cool. That's really fun. It's just probably not something I would be playing anytime soon. Someone's waiting for the entire ocean to freeze over so they can just walk over. You know, that would also be easier, but at that point, like, what's the point in even being in Empoleon if you can't swim the ocean? Mr. G forgetting I was even featured in a JJK comment of the day. SMH my head. That's a good point, Mr. Light. Forgot about that. Yeah, I had a feeling you were in both. I was just misunderstanding what you were talking about, but I was starting to question myself. I'm really good at gaslighting myself. So, in case you can't tell, I'm very good at uh, I'm very good at convincing myself that something that is clearly true is not true, and vice versa. And I guess when other people do it, it works too, but mainly with me. I trust myself very much for some reason, for no reason even. I was out of time for most of the weekend, so I had no time to write comments for the last few and JJK videos, but I did see them. Cool. I look forward to seeing your what you have to say with this discussion, because it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. You've got a lot to talk about, and I mean, it's JJK. There's always a lot to talk about, right? Most of the JJK memes are spoilers. Of course they are. Of course they are. Oh, Shadow Monarch. Shadow Monarch is here. Welcome. You can actually see exactly how it looks when Yuta puts on his ring and calls Rika. It's exactly the same. JT is excited for Vinland Saga. Mr. Light hasn't watched it yet. I think that was you, Mr. Light, right? Who was thinking about watching it or not, and decided to watch it with me, or I think that was you. I remember there was somebody around here who hadn't seen Vinland Saga yet, and they were on the fence about it, and we decided might as well watch it because I'm watching it along with me. And well, I know my brother's one of them, but that was quite a while ago because it's taken so much longer to finish JJK season 3 than I think any of us expected. But here we are. Someone has to start watching Vinland Saga. Okay, cool. Shadow Monarch talking about the manga art style. Okay. I had a feeling you're talking about the manga there. Just want to make sure. Mr. Light's watched it. Okay, cool. So I was probably thinking of some known then. I can't wait for the 19th. I believe season 4 in January. I'll stick around for Vinland. Of course, I'm a masochist. I love JJK. If I didn't enjoy getting kicked in the emotional balls, I wouldn't like it either. You know what, Ketch? That is a fair point. That is entirely fair. I don't know what sane man or what non-masochistic man would watch so much of JJK, let alone be caught up with it, with everything it entails. So that's completely fair. Okay. We got through our obligatory half hour before we actually get started to relevant stuff in the stream. So, excuse me. I think it's about time we get started. Shadow Mark, did you read my earlier comment? Goso understands JJK so well. I'm not sure if I saw that one. I might have missed it. Or maybe I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Catch, at least we aren't Chainsaw Man fans. That's a very different show, and in many different ways, I suppose. Oh, Mr. Light finished Finland a few days ago. I started in anticipation to your reaction. Okay, so I was possibly also thinking of you. I had a feeling there was someone there that wasn't some known who was considering watching Vinland or not. So it's kind of cool that me starting to watch this, getting a lot of you guys to watch it as well. So it'll be kind of fresh in all of our minds. I think that sounds great. Okay, so what do you say we get started? I suppose just to break the ice, that first half hour wasn't already doing that, I'm going to be going over the opening. And then after that, I'll just kind of casually start talking about JJK and like how I felt about it. And you guys can go ahead, like drop your comments and drop things you want me to talk about, like favorite character, I don't know, fucking fuck, marry, kill, whatever you guys want to do. This is just a JJK celebration. In fact, I would have my have a wine here just to celebrate, drink with it, but I actually don't have any wine around right now. So take this mug of water to be a cup of wine, if you would, to celebrate finishing JJK. As Mr. Light mentioned, Vinland Saga is strangely more historically accurate than most media about Vikings. Interesting. I mean, I definitely believe that because I've heard some really, really good things about Finland. I mean, it won the poll in an absolute landslide. It completely dominated. So I'm not surprised that something that's so historically inclined, so historically focused, is also historically accurate. So I'm really curious to see both how it's portrayed in the actual show as well as how, or just the general history of like the that Nordic region, because I'm not super familiar with it, but I think this is a great opportunity to get more familiar with it. I said Goso actually gave his thoughts on why he created the opening this way. Really, Shadow Monarch? I would need to look into that because I've got my own thoughts for like how much I like the opening and how it like its general tone, but if Goso actually has his own thoughts and like actually shared his own thoughts about it, I would love to see that. Potentially, who knows? Maybe we're actually on this similar track, or maybe there's just something else we're talking about. So, if somebody like I don't know has a link or something, I don't know if you can drop links in live chat, but to like what Goso said, or can just paraphrase it here, I'd love to see that. To hear the thoughts of the person who actually like put it together. One thing to note about AIZO in general is that it blends traditional sounds with more modern ones. Should be pretty clear why. Okay, some known. That's a really interesting point because it's a little harder to tell like with the TV size, but when it comes to the actual full version, and you can hear it in the last episode for those who don't look it up on their own, because I mean, who's that? We all listen to AIZO on our off time, let's be honest. But especially like with the start of it, right? You can hear a lot of those sort of older, more classical Japanese instruments and music and sounds. And that's a really interesting point that it blends the past and the present because obviously that's what the Colin game is, right? It's bringing together these past sorcerers and the present ones, which is I'd never really caught that about AIZO, and that's a really cool little touch. Maybe share it on Discord. Yeah, that's another good idea. We should do that. Shadow Monarch, you're not in the Discord. Well, what are you waiting for? It's free for you. All you gotta do is just check out my Patreon and join for $20 a month, and you get access to Discord. It's super easy. That's all it takes. No, obviously it's free. It's free. It's just slightly out of the way of the public, so it doesn't get like spammed with people who, let alone bots or even just people who aren't really serious. It's a great way to kind of filter them out. So go ahead and check in like any of my descriptions. I think even in this live video you can see it, and join the Discord. We'd love to have you there, Shadow Monarch. Okay, so what do you say we get into it? We're past the half hour mark, and I think that's a good time as any. So I'm gonna pull up this image slideshow right over here, and it's cutting out the chat. So I guess I could always put it over the thing here, and then I can just activate and deactivate it as I need it. I can do boop boop. Wait. Boop boop boop. Nope. Yes. No. Come on. Oh wait. Does that actually like fully hide it or? Oh, that's weird. Oh, wait. Nope. It's trying. Ooh, it's trying. Okay, I'll just. It was working a second ago. I'm not sure why it's not working now. Oh wait, is it because? No, no. That's weird. I don't know why it's not. Does it need to restart? Maybe like that. Now it's behind there. Come on. Like that. There we go. Then I can hide it. Then I can show it. There we are. There we are. So yeah, we'll be going through these, and I'll probably just hide the pip as needed, just so I can show them, and we'll just go through it like that. Ooh, nice. Alex found the source. But don't look at anything else. Yeah, I'm sure there's spoilers everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to be laser focused. Okay, this is going to be a good lead up into the actual opening. Let's see what it says. JJK Season 3 director Shota Goshozono Gosso long commented about his thoughts behind making the opening. When I thought about the culling game in preparation for creating this opening, I considered the following. When a variety of characters, both new and old, are gathered by Kenjaku, what kind of reaction will the friction born there produce? I believe this question is the essential axis that runs through the culling game. Based on this analysis, I selected a collage as the concept. When combining massive amounts of different materials holding specific meanings and intentions, sourced from the widest possible range of expressive domains and fragments of memory specific to this generation, certain nuances and textures emerge. I wanted to perceive these resulting textures as something positive and pleasant. Also, I just realized I could be having this on the screen, so let me do that real quick. I'm just reading it aloud on the side. I could just pull it up here, though, and you guys should be able to see this. I don't know why I was doing that the whole time. Here we go. There we go. Now you guys can see it, too. Here we are. So, when combining massive amounts of different materials holding specific meanings and intentions, sourced from the widest possible range of expressive domains and fragments of memory specific to this generation, certain nuances and textures emerge. I wanted to perceive these resulting textures as something positive and pleasant, and I have encapsulated that feeling within the realm of this opening sequence. There's another important characteristic to the culling game, or rather to the world after the Shibuya incident. In the Shibuya incident, the culture known as Shibuya was crushed, exposing the bare, flat earth beneath. The schematic of the season is Yuji rising up again from that flattened ground. I cannot help but feel this is a manifestation of the work's unconscious desire to observe all expressions and cultures through a unified sense of value, and from there discover new values. In fact, this leads into the culling game that follows, where sorcerers from the past appear and grope for new possibilities. Kenjaku reinforces this way of thinking. Furthermore, since this season is positioned as a first half, I judge that a structure which ends abruptly, cutting off as if a bomb has been dropped right at the end, rather than converging the story, was the most appropriate choice, expanding the narrative further and further outward. That is really interesting. That is really fascinating. And also, Neon Zombies is here. Welcome. Glad you could make it. Forgot there's a stream today. There's always a stream on Sunday, Neon. Come on. Now, I might have the wrong link currently in my Discord. It's to my Twitch, but I decided to do this one on YouTube. But every Sunday, 1:30. I might be playing around with the time, but that's going to be what I'm going to be working with. At least into the foreseeable future. Don't read any of the comments from below that Twitter account. Be careful. Miyamura is the #1 JJK leaker. Oh, gotcha. Okay. The 5th most popular account on all of Twitter during the peak of JJK popularity. Miyamura is controversial. He was the 7th most interacted account on Twitter during an arc of JJK. Wow, okay. Beating out people like Joe Biden popularity. My goodness. Holy crap. Okay, so there's a lot of sauce with this. So I'm just going to not engage with that, just like the rest of the JJK community, and just take this post as it is. So this is really interesting. I really like this. It's slightly different from what I was going to mention, but it does actually work into it pretty well. So essentially what this is talking about is the fact that this opening, in the way that it is like full of these different references to like different paintings and stuff that we'll be going over in a minute. And also the references are both modern and in the past, right? Like here we've shoot, I'm blanking on what it was called. Ghost in the Shell. So here we have something like a reference to Ghost in the Shell, whereas obviously here you've got much more classical paintings that are from a much older place in time, right? Again, lining up with the sorcerers of past and present. So that's a really cool little touch. The fact that these references are split out and are from a whole bunch of different things, from, like I said, the past and the present, really bringing that idea together. This is all one single, it's one single event that's kind of tying together the different eras, right? And also just the fact that it ends with the bomb and kind of ends on this cliffhanger note in a sense, because exactly because it's a part one, it kind of leaves off and doesn't really conclude, is absolutely brilliant. I love that. I think that's such a great detail. Oh, this is really cool. It's super detailed too. I was not expecting all of this. Collage. So when I saw the collage there, the first thing I was thinking of, and the thing that I've been looking forward to pretty much talking about, just in general, not talking about the actual details of the opening, is the fact that this opening, and I've mentioned this I think in episode like 3 when I was talking about it a little bit, but this opening is incredibly overwhelming, right? Like it's intentionally explicitly overwhelming. There is so much going on. There's so many like flashing lights, so many colors. There's so much of like everything that's going on here. It is just eye vomiting, Sakuga vomiting in your face with all these different styles, all these different animations, all these different characters, and it is just so much. And that's kind of the point, right? That's the thing that I like most about this opening, and what I feel fits so well with this and with this arc. Because this arc really is overwhelming, right? This arc is so much. This arc is, well, in order to really talk about that, I want to talk about the general the structure of like the storyboarding of each arc, right? And of the seasons thus far. And unfortunately, I don't have a visual for this, so I'm just gonna have to talk to you while these people are watching us. So how is this story storyboarded, right? At least so far. Initially, we of course have our first season, which is fairly disparate, and obviously I'm going to be talking in terms of anime because I haven't read the manga, so my familiarity with it is mainly in the anime. So first, we of course have season 1, right? It's introducing a lot of stuff, a lot of smaller arcs, a couple like 2-episode arcs, a few 3 ones, but mainly they're like, it's not quite episodic, but there aren't really any longer arcs, right? There's stuff building out, but you get kind of piece by piece by piece as we introduce new characters, we introduce aspects of the world, and we slowly get to know Jujutsu Kaisen. That's sort of the first core, the first like 12 episodes. Obviously, that culminates with Junpei and the absolute horror of it. And I think it was like a 4-episode arc in total, which, as it should, as it's the end of the first core, it wraps back around to Yuji, right? And directly talks about him building connections, losing it, and him having to come to terms with Mahito, who's going to be his rival for this first like act of the story, right? The second half starts expanding quite a bit. The second half of season 1, the second core, we get much longer arcs. Like most, I'm pretty sure half of the second core is about the, I forget what it's called, but it's the 2 schools basically competing against each other, right? And obviously interrupted by Hanami. It's this longer arc as we're starting to get more familiar and we're starting to build out the characters that we know of. There's, of course, Shibuya, but then there's also Kyoto. And we're learning more about Jujutsu High and about this kind of school system, I suppose, this society, while also keeping things fairly small, right? Keeping them fairly contained. Very much contained within Tokyo. And the arc's getting slightly longer, but still not introducing like a million new characters and not diving too deep into them is a great way to get us more familiar with these people. And then I guess it's not the second half, it's really like the last quarter is the arc that gets us closer to Megumi, who is obviously an important character, quite important. More important than Nobara, unfortunately, or fortunately. But it also introduces like death paintings, and it's more of a addendum, an addition onto the end of season 1. So already season 1's structure is a little bit vague, but is setting out this idea that we have these shorter arcs in the first core. We've got this slightly longer, not quite a full core arc in the first one, in the second core, with the two schools competing. And then we have a short, like 3-episode finale, if you would, which isn't really the climax of the season, but is really important because it builds out Megami, and of course, it establishes Yuji and his willingness, or lack thereof, to kill humans, and the blurring the line further between humans and curses. So season 1's pretty straightforward with that. Season 2 gets really interesting with its framing, right? Especially as an anime that should be limited by its cores, it kind of breaks that. It has the 5 episodes, of course, of the flashback, right? And you get those episodes where you get to learn more about who seems to be our main antagonist, Geto, and a character who we know quite well with Gojo. And once those 5 episodes end, it's almost like Gege is telling you, here's your breather, here's a moment to get sort of oriented to where you are. And while he doesn't really say it explicitly, that's kind of a warning shot across the bow, right? That's kind of a warning that things are about to get insane. Because you don't just throw in a side story, a past arc, a flashback arc, if you would, for the sake of it. And you don't just do that at any point, right? There's a clear reason for that, and there's a clear intent that something is about to shift. And thankfully, that's exactly what we got, because if there had been any other arc other than Shibuya after something like Gojo's past arc, Hidden Inventory, it would have been a lot more jarring, right? And it would have been a lot worse. But because Shibuya was so decisive, in hindsight, Hidden Inventory becomes a lot more impactful and a lot more memorable, and really feels like it separates the non-Shibuya part of Act 1 of JJK with the Shibuya incident. And that's just so great. Yeah, Shadow Monarch. Lots of still images that flashes really quick. And lots of images that aren't quite still, right? And that's one thing that I also really appreciate about this opening, going kind of back and forth between talking about the structure and talking about the opening. Just a quick note, because you mentioned it. Most of these aren't really still images, right? Which is why, I mean, these kind of are. It's kind of like panning a little bit, but I think what makes this work so well is the vast majority of these are animated. So it's clearly not like laziness, right? Like a lot of lower quality openings. There's clearly intent to it, and there's so much movement despite the fact that it would have functioned perfectly well had it just been a bunch of flashing images. So this is, I suppose, the correct way to do an opening like this. And I'll explain like why it's so many images flashing quickly, again, once I finish up my recap of the structure of JJK. Much like you, I ate a full meal and yet I long for more. Just think about the next season and the reactions to it has me impatient. Catch. Yeah, I know, you've been excited for me wanting to me to read the manga, but also wanting me not to, because obviously my reactions won't be nearly as good watching the anime. And because the adaptation is so good as it is, right? Yes, I'm known, over 700 subs. I was at like 695 or so, 696, and then I released the finale for JJK, and it just bumped me up by like almost 10 subscribers, because I guess people were excited for that one. I wonder why. Hopefully they'll be sticking around for Vinland Saga as well, though. I'm just sad that the episode 12 didn't end with talk about taking over the end screen. That would have been really funny. That would have been perfect. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. That would have been hilarious, though. I watched an analysis on AIZO the other day, and it mentioned that the first 2 instruments heard from it are completely different Japanese periods, despite both sounding ancient. So very apropos for this arc. Mr. Light, that is really interesting. I like that a lot. I didn't actually catch that either, but I mean, that's so perfect, right? Because it's kind of a false dichotomy to say that the Culling game is the past and the present mixing together. It is all the different eras up till now, right? Or at least most of them, which is really cool. Because yeah, you can't just assume that there are sorcerers from the past and there are sorcerers from now, right? You're comparing like a modern day, I don't know, maybe 2000, maybe like 50 years, or like, no, modern sorcerers would just be like born now. So like you're comparing, yeah, let's say 50 years for older sorcerers with like what, 2000 years? So there are all these different eras, right? But we just say the past, I suppose, to be to for the sake of simplicity. But like you said, with the instruments, that's a really cool touch. The fact that they're instruments from different times as well. I think my tragic lack of musical analysis skills will show in my inability to comment too much for AIZO. I just jammed to it. Honestly, Catch, I'm kind of the same. This isn't really going to be a musical analysis like it was for, Yoaka no Uta. Check out my live stream bods if you missed that, by the way. Which I don't think anyone here watching this live is, but the only thing I'm really going to talk about for the music of this, and I can just say this right now really quickly, is it's very frantic, right? It's very fast paced and it's very overwhelming, and that fits with the visuals perfectly, and that once again builds out the my hinting out of what I'm going to be talking about with this opening, which I can't get to yet because we still have to talk about the overall structure of season 2 before we get to season 3. So with that being said, let's move on to it. So I left off last with the hidden inventory arc, right? The Gojo's Past arc. And after that little breather, which is interesting because initially as I was watching it, I was a little hesitant because season 1 didn't end off on a huge bang, right? It kind of had that little bit with Yuji and with his character building and his unwillingness to kill non-curses, which is a great point in his character, but it's not climactic enough to feel like it warrants a big foray into the past, if you would, as I was watching it live. However, then we get to the rest of season 2, the full like 17, or maybe I think it's an 18 episode arc of the Shibuya incident. And as soon as you start episode 6 and that starts playing, you realize something's different. And something is indeed different. Because previously we had a bunch of smaller arcs as the first core. We had a almost full core second arc, or almost full core second core, I guess, longer arc. And we had a short one to kind of wrap it up. We had a 5 episode, nice little past arc. And then we have an 18 episode monster. That's basically the entire season. It's a core and a half long. So you have this progressively increasing arc length, right? And clearly, Culling Games is building out from that, right? We've got those little arcs. We've got one that's shorter than a full core. We've got one that's a season and a half. And now it looks like the Culling Game will be at least 2 seasons, right? So again, we're building this out. It's not exponentially growing, but each arc is getting longer and longer as we're building into things, and as we get more comfortable with JJK, and as the world gets larger, allowing these arcs to breathe and to really fill out, both with the audience and in the actual story itself. So that's really cool. And it adds on to that further because the Shibuya incident is so overwhelming, right? It's not just a core and a half, it is a core and a half of suffering and of a single night, which is absolutely thrilling and absolutely incredible. Because you can have like core long arcs, right? You can have an arc that lasts 2 cores, a full season, but usually it'll last over a course of time. The fact that this course of time is only like a single evening is terrifying and incredible. And it really brings together why it's called the Shibuya incident arc, because it's just the incident. There is so much that happens there, right? It's so clearly story defining that it's no wonder we started the arc and we started the season with the breather of hidden inventory. So that framing on its own, just looking at season 2, is already brilliant. Then when you look at how season 1 is framed, it gets even better. And it builds up the anticipation for season 3, right? Which we'll finally get to in a second. Because there's one last thing I want to talk about. And that's the fact that that's the structure of a larger story is generally told in acts, right? You can call it whatever you want, but My Hero Academia pointed this explicitly when as we got into the latter half of season 6. I'm going to avoid spoilers here, but it said the final arc, the final act begins, right? Referring to mainly the 3-act structure. Or alternatively, referring to the different arcs, the different acts, I keep saying that, the different acts of MHA, right? There's the one that leads up until season 3, first half. There's the one that goes all throughout, clearly, season 6. And then the rest of MHA is the third final act. With JJK, I'm not going to say there are going to be 3 acts necessarily, but it's very clear that everything up to the culling game is sort of the first act, right? The introduction. Everything leading up to this pivotal moment when we have to leave Jujutsu Society. I guess we're technically all curse users now. I haven't really thought about that or talked about it much, but it's technically true, I think. And yeah, we're actually, the elders called for our execution. So yeah, we're definitely curse users. That's a really weird thing to think about. So we've got our group, which is splitting off, right, from the main guys. We've got Gojo, who's captured. We've got all these creatures breaking out. And most importantly, what clearly shows that this is the end of an act, all of our antagonists, but like one, are dead. Hanami, Dagon, Mahito, Volcano Head. They're all just gone. And I've seen around a little bit, and I've heard mentioned that there was some controversy about that. People wanted the disaster curses to end up to their stories to kind of end in a more, I guess, climactic way, in a more satisfying way. But I really like how it happened. I think it's perfect. And I've got several reasons why I think that. For one, simply, it's perfect that when we get introduced to the disaster curses, they're not really the antagonist, right? They are all interacting with and walking alongside Geto, Brain. Clearly, Brain, whose name we don't even have yet when we first meet them, is kind of the person who is in charge here. He's clearly the one calling the shots, even though they put up this like thin veil of equality and of like meeting on the same page. Like, I could tell from the first scene, and you can see it in my reactions, I immediately wrote off Volcano Head as the goon that he kind of is, even though I respect him a lot more now due to the end of the not calling games, the Shibuya incident, right? I respect him a lot more, but he was and kind of is a goon. Hanami obviously can't really talk, at least we couldn't understand her back then. Him back then, them back then. We couldn't understand them back then, but they were very clearly acting, not planning anything, right? Kind of just following along, listening in. And of course, Dagon pretty much just looked like a pet. So when we meet these disaster curses, they are clearly not that weighty, right? They are clearly important, but they don't have the presence of a long-standing antagonist. So, flashing back forward to the end of the Shibuya incident, it makes so much sense that we kind of deal with all of them, right? We kill Dagon about as easily and about as unceremoniously as we kill off the Zanging head. Not Tobito. I don't think it's Tobito. Naoya? Not Naoya. Naobito. There it is. Gotta mix them together. We killed off Jogo about as flippantly as we killed off Naobito, right? Because they're not these climactic great bosses that we need to dedicate a full episode to. They are in the same place as like any other character, right? It's a free-for-all. Shibuya Incident is a place where anybody and everybody can die. So the people who are not that important, the antagonists who are kind of just being led along by Geto, by Brain, aren't going to last. They're going to die off as easily as our protagonists. And it's such a great way for Gege to put a script in front of our face and then tear it up and make you go, what the fuck? And he just looks at you and just smiles. You had no idea what was going on behind the scenes, did you? I mean, of course you didn't. That was my magic trick, right? That was Gege's magic trick. Convincing you that the disaster curses were more important than they were, which, don't get me wrong, they're obviously important, right? They are, they are like the special grades, right? They are these they're basically like the strongest curses to exist, right? They're these historical, generational creatures that have built up from humanity's greatest fears. I'm not trying to downplay them, but in the story of JJK, they are really just a means to an end for Brain. And Shibuya Instant makes that so clear. And that's really cool. I really like how it throws away its antagonists and then makes you wonder, what the is next? It's brilliant. It's perfect. And it's such a great way to end Act 1, right? To end off this first introductory part of JJK and build into like the real story. And somebody in here mentioned something else I was going to talk about. Sumnon says it here. I think the reason we don't focus on curses anymore is because we now focus on the cause of them. That's another thing, right? And this one's kind of two parts. One part, yeah, we've kind of moved on from curses. Sad Kudoushi Kudourushi. Sad cockroach noises, obviously, but he's also kind of a sorcerer curse user thing, so I guess he kind of walks the line, but we've mostly moved on from curses, right? They're not really the focus because, yeah, it's unknown. I know how it's spelled. I'm just cockroach man. Kurorushi is sort of the exception, but not really. These curses aren't really the focus anymore, right? And the reason of this is quite simple. It's because we're following Yuji's gaze, right? We've been setting this up since season 1. Yuji's, I guess, one of his journeys is about getting more and more, or fighting against the necessity of killing non-curses, right? We've got the curses, of course, then we've got disaster curses, which are sentient curses. Then we've got then we've got curses that are born that are part human. Obviously, we now know are Yuji's siblings in a sense. And then we've got these reincarnate sorcerers, right? So we're getting more and more and more towards the human end of the spectrum. And thankfully, what we've seen so far in the Culling games is that even though the antagonists are following Yuji's journey of the disillusionment, I guess, of killing humans, of killing Nan's curses, Yuji is not actually playing along, is he? We've got Megumi, who's much more willing to kill humans, and we've also got Yuta, who is willing to kill them but will avoid it, who seems to be the platonic ideal of where Yuji's journey should end up. But despite our gaze following where Yuji's journey should go, his journey is not actually going that way, right? He's fighting against it, which is great. I'm so happy that he's not... I'm so glad that Yuji is not just falling into it and starting to kill humans and getting more and more comfortable with this. Throughout all the Culling games... Oh, excuse me one second. Throughout the Culling games, and correct me if I'm wrong, Yuji doesn't kill a single human. I don't think he killed the helicopter people. He might have killed the helicopter people. I think he just beat their asses. I'm not sure. But he doesn't really kill, right? He's not slowly getting desensitized to killing people. He's just fucking them up. And to be fair, part of that is because we haven't seen him fight a whole lot of people. It's pretty much just Higuruma and Sumnon. That's a great point. Yuji never gained points. Because, yeah, he didn't kill... Alex, heard the crack. I did my first chest exercise this morning for like the first time in forever. So my chest is trying to figure it out. So yeah, Sumnon, exactly. He didn't kill him because he never gained points. So it's not even being tested, right? And I feel like that's just going to come later. But I'm really glad, from a personal perspective, that even though the show is trying to, on a meta level, push us towards fighting curses to fighting humans, Yuji is not playing along. He is still holding on to his humanity, the distinct humanity of killing humans, even though he was fully willing to kill Mahito, right? So he'd graduated from killing curses to killing disaster curses that resemble humans. In that sense, I suppose Mahito succeeded. He got exactly what he wanted to. And that's really cool. the fact that the structure, the storyboarding, the storytelling is trying to nudge our protagonist towards somewhere, but he's not going there. It's a really nuanced take that I can't wait for it to be proven wrong as part 2 comes out and Yuji does have to kill people, because I'm sure it will happen. I'm sure there will come a time where he has to kill people. Hopefully, it does not come with Yuji becoming more okay with it. Hopefully, if he has to kill people, he is still able to firmly deny his, not ability, but willingness to kill people, and that doesn't become a slippery slope. You could argue he's already on a slippery slope, but he's fighting against it, and for this whole season so far, he's avoided it, which is really impressive. So that was a sort of branch off from season 2, right? I was talking about this longer arc in the end of Act 1. Act 2, and I obviously don't know where it's going after season 3, so I can't comment too much on like the act structure of JJK, but what I can say is that Act 2 is an expansion, right? What happens after the end of the introduction of a story? The story expands, the characters expand. And we're expanding beyond Tokyo, right? And we're expanding throughout Japan to these different colonies. So the expansion is happening on several levels. The character cast that we've known for season 1, season 2 expanded, right? We have all these different characters, and you can see this in the opening. We're finally getting to what I was teasing when I was talking about what I love most about this opening. We have so many characters in this arc and so many different scenarios. There's also the expansion of the world, right? Like I said, we started in Tokyo and we've been there for like 2 full seasons, but all of a sudden we're so much larger now. We're not necessarily all of Japan, we're like different colonies within it, but we are still expanding the world here. We're also expanding the antagonists, as I've just talked about. We're not fighting curses anymore, we're fighting curse users. We are not fighting the lackeys of Brain anymore, we're effectively fighting Brain himself. We're inside of his game. So yeah, we've expanded this. And this expansion is perfect for Act 2 as we're done with the introduction. And we enter Geto's game. Now, if I were to, for a moment, if I were to posit where this could go from here, part 2 of Culling Games will probably be season 4. Whether it'll be 2 cores or whether it'll be 1, it would be really interesting if it's 2 cores. That's why they split season 3 and season 4 to 12 episodes each. I've got a feeling season 4 is going to be 12 episodes. I would love it to be 2 cores, though. That would be kind of an intense expansion from, as I was saying, with the progressive increase, from going to an arc and a half to 3 arcs, but it's probably going to be like 24 or 25 episodes in total. And that's obviously a lot, right? It's perfect for expanding this and meeting all these new characters. So this expansion is Act 2. And I've teased it enough. Let's finally actually get into the opening. This opening, both the audio and the visuals are overwhelming, right? It is very explicitly, very poignantly overstimulating. It's intense. It's intense not in the way that Specials was, because Specials was intense in a emotional way. It was very emotionally intense, right? This arc isn't quite like that, or this opening and this arc isn't quite like that, right? It's just overstimulating. There's so many colors, so many different art styles, so many colors. There's just so much. Both the visuals and the song. It's really cool that they have all these different instruments showing how intentional King Nu was about creating this, but the song itself is super intense and super high pace and super ridiculous and weirdly catchy with its AIZO, AIZO, Utsumite, love and hate. And you look at the lyrics and it's also very spread out, right? It's very eclectic. It's very ADHD brained. Because the whole point of this opening, and to finally get to my main thesis and why I love this opening so much, there we go, is that it's overwhelming you as it overwhelms the characters. And it's an acknowledgement that Jujutsu Kaisen is not going to be the same moving forward. And you may or may not like that. You may or may not like the direction it's going, but it's going this way anyways. And JJK does something, at least the anime, I guess the manga didn't technically do this. JJK does something that I've never seen an anime do before. It openly acknowledges that you're about to be overwhelmed. Especially for people like me who enjoy very character-focused stories and are very hesitant when a world suddenly expands. It's always stressful, right? Because we've gotten comfortable with these characters, with these environments, and now suddenly it's all expanding and we have to try to keep up, and it feels like there's no substance, because there isn't, right? You can't really expand a world as much as something like Culling Games does, and also keep it as substantial as what came before it, right? That's inevitable, at least not yet. You can build it out after you've expanded it, but it's going to be a lot more shallow by necessity. So what Gosa does with this season, and what's so brilliant about this, what I've never seen before, is that he acknowledges this in this opening. He fully acknowledges, and not just acknowledges, leans into the fact that you are going to be overwhelmed, you are going to be hesitant, and you are going to be a little bit frightened by what might be next, by how much more information you're going to have to take in as we move on to this next core. And I mean, just look at these visuals. It's flashing between so many things, some moving, some still shots. And we'll go through the details of what all of these are. But there's just so much, right? This one is the best example of what I'm talking about. All these different characters with these moments, and like these people who are in, how many frames does each character get? Less than 10 frames. And a lot of these characters aren't even really relevant to the season, right? Oh, I never actually saw him before. That's super cool. Higuruma with the Executioner Sword. But, like, who the fuck are you? I mean, I'm pretty sure this is the guy who was in season 1, the guy with the Shinkageryu who rescued Panda, but, like, in the context of this season, yeah, no, he is. He definitely is. In the context of the season, Kusakube, thank you, Alex. Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you, and what are you doing in my opening? He's here, obviously. Panda's sort of important in the season. Why the fuck do we have one of the Zane clan's guys? Who the fuck are you, and why are you in my opening? You were filling this out, you're making it busy for no reason, except there is a reason, right? Goso goes out of his way to show off every single character. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm confident that every single character who shows up in this season is in this opening. And I've never seen something like this be done so intentionally, so carefully, recklessly, and so effectively. It's so perfect. Because the world is expanding, we are afraid, we are anxious, and Goso is not saying this isn't going to happen. He's saying, I get it, you're going to be afraid, you're going to be overwhelmed. I'm acknowledging that. Let's move forward together. And you just need to embrace the chaos, right? Embrace the chaos of this expanding world, of the Culling Games. Watch this opening, it's so fun, it's so flashy, it's so colorful. Just go with the fucking flow. And you kind of have to after seeing an opening like this. You kind of just have to go with the flow and just enjoy it. Yeah, I'm noticing there are a few other people here. It looks like we got Smagif here. Do not diss Kusakabe like that, gang. Don't worry, Smag. I love Kusakabe. I love this guy. But he's just not relevant to the opening, right? He's just not relevant to the season. It just is a fact. Other than the little bit with the principal. And then I also saw that Living Dog was here too, so welcome. I'm glad to see you could make it here. You're a little bit late, but also just in time. I'm gonna need more water in a second. Alex, there's also the fact of establishing the common structure and then deconstructing it in unexpected ways. Yeah, there's definitely that too. Max Godard loving that each disaster curse was obliterated by a definition of the strongest. Yeah, Gojo, Toji, and Sukuna. And I've mentioned that in another one of my streams, right? And which one was it? It wasn't the allegory video, but it was the one before it. The ingenious of JJK that no one knows about. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and watch that. But yeah, I talked about how perfect it is, how each disaster curse is very dealt with by a very intentional character. That's super great. JJK does something that's sort of unusual in anime, specifically in shonen, that is particularly starting from season 2. Each episode feels like its own contained story with a defined structural direction. Say something interesting would be to talk about to rank favorite characters, favorite episodes in particular. Yeah, especially in season 2 and especially in season 3. I mean, like, they're not necessarily episodic, though season 3 is a little bit more so, but as Sumdon says, each episode has its own style, right? They clearly have their own personality and their own episode directors, especially, which I believe, and it really allows you to latch onto things. And again, it's about it really embraces the chaos, right? And Retro Capital's here. Lovely to see you. Glad to see you could make it. We're in the middle of doing the opening, so you're still in the early stages of this. But yeah, it's just crazy and overwhelming and places you in the position of our characters who have to deal with so much, but also reassures you who is anxious, maybe not you manga readers, but for the anime viewers who don't know what's about to happen as the world expands, it embraces that, and that's so cool. That's so great. Gusto actually talked about this, but it was about the last episode. He said Sendai Colony was supposed to be 2 episodes, but that wouldn't fit the JJK styles. They're aware that it was fast-paced. Honestly, I'm kind of glad it is. I think if that were 2 episodes, it would have been a little bit, probably would have been a little bit dragged out, and it would have made the episode, the finale, hit a lot less hard, because as we see in the opening here, it's really great how we just get this bombastic end of the season. And I don't think it's too fast-paced. I think it serves its point very well. It introduces all of these different sorcerers from the past, right, which they all are, with different motivations and different forms of ego, which I think is like perfect, right? So I don't think it needed to be more than an episode, and I'm glad it was. I think the pacing of it was really good. So I'm glad they didn't end up having it be 2 episodes. But that's what we got here, right? That's the opening, and that's how we get into basically where the structure has left off with season 2 here, or with season 3 here. We had season 1, which was a lot more disparate and a lot smaller arcs. We had season 2, which was almost one full arc, and then season 3, which is half of one arc, or presumably half of one arc. And this arc is expanding the world in Act 2, and there is just so much in it that is just overwhelming. And it's such a great introduction, because most stories don't have this, right? Most stories, when they have this expansion of the world, and we have this introducing all these new characters, it's really scary, right? And they don't really have a way to do it other than have an opening where they have a bunch of people, right? Where they just throw in a bunch of characters and just kind of willy-nilly and try to have a regular opening. And it's really, really disorienting, because it's scary, right? We don't want to meet all these new characters. But the fact that they're embracing it, this opening is kind of leaning into it, it lets you go along with it and lets you just embrace the chaos. Mr. Light, I mentioned in the season 2 finale that departing from the setup of current society with a fantastical element by blowing up the status quo in Shibuya, literally, was risky, but I'm glad the season fully embraced it. Case in point with this opening. Precisely, yeah. It blew up the status quo, right? We were set up for a story to fight against these disaster curses and the sorcerer who's manipulating it. And then at the end of season 2, we're like, holy shit, this isn't even close. What are we getting into? And we're not really disappointed, right? We get exactly what we asked for. Yes, Retro, I'm afraid I did disrespect Kusakabe, which, I mean, I don't think I disrespected him that much. I forgot his name, but I mean, I strictly talked in terms of this opening, right? He's not relevant to this opening, but he's very relevant for, I mean, he's relevant for our hearts, right? We love Kusakabe. But obviously, the reason I mentioned him was because of the point, right? He's barely in the season at all, and yet he's showcased here. If you didn't want to overwhelm the audience, you want to have like a reasonable opening, you would introduce like half of these characters, right? Like I can tell you right now, the Zayn clan wouldn't be here. These who are, I'm pretty sure, yeah, you can see down there, it's also the Zayn background. The people who fought against Maki wouldn't be here, right? They have a single episode. Why are the helicopter people here? Any reasonable opening, any reasonable director wouldn't include them, but if you're trying to overwhelm, that's the point. And yes, it's kind of inevitable at this point in the channel, but yes, one day I will have to get a Ghetto cosplay. I'll have to find a way to put that together at some point, but that's neither here nor there. So that's basically the opening, right? And that's the top-down analysis. That's the top-down talking about why I love this opening so much and why I've really grown to love AIZO, because while it's not as emotionally intense as specials, obviously, it's completely different, right? It's its whole other thing. And it's brilliant at what it does. It does so perfectly. So now that we've done the top-down analysis, we've talked about why its eclectic, manic nature is so perfect for the arc. I'm going to take a small water and restroom break. I encourage you to do the same, or we can just chat amongst each other. And then after that, when we get back in a second, I'm going to be talking about what Alex was kind enough to give me, which is a series of multiple references. And we'll just kind of go through these really quickly of all the different references and different points in the opening, which is really, really cool. So I'm excited to get over that. And we'll be doing that in just a second. In the meantime, I don't have a be right back, so I just realized my audio cuts out there. So I'm going to let you enjoy some jazz, and I will be back in just a minute. It's almost a shame that I have to turn off the jazz music when I come on here. I guess I don't technically have to. I could always just keep playing in the background, but it might get a little grating after a little while. All right, so I was looking back in the chat and see there's some absolute crazy slander going on in here that I'm just going to not give the honor of addressing. I do like Max Godard's idea here, Adori Gregan Kenjaku cosplay for Season 4, Episode 1 premiere. That could be a fun time to show that off. I guess there probably won't be a whole lot of opportunities outside of that, so that could be a good place. Whenever that'll be. Hopefully next January, which is what it looks like a lot of people are thinking about. We'll see, though. AIZO is also perfect for adapting into other series fan works. Very true. My goodness, Retro. Aren't we just slaves to the government? They groom us since we were kids to fill the education system and become a corporate slave. I mean, true, but I'm not entirely sure what the context of this you're referring to is. You're not wrong, but I'm curious about the... Yeah, I'm curious where you're pulling that from. Unless you got that out of the... No, I guess it was Smag who had the coffee. I was gonna say the all-nighter might be getting to your brain a little bit, but... I mean, yeah. No notes. Just true. Retro having his red pill arc, bro. Absolutely insane. Wait a sec. Kenjaku likes breathing air. Adori likes breathing air. I won't say you're onto something because you're not, but if you were onto something, you'd be onto something. So now that we've finished kind of the first part and we've gone through the general structure of JJK, and we've talked about what I like so much about this opening. We're going to go through it frame by frame. And I mean literally. And we're going to be talking about all the different references, both for the show and outside references that I've said a million times, and I'll say it a million more, are courtesy of Alex. Provided me with not just the Google Drive folder for these images, but also just for the opening here. So massive thank you to Alex for providing this for me and making this a lot more interesting, because most of these references I would not have gotten. So with this, it is a lot more. There's a lot more I can showcase here. So actually on the very first frame, I mean, talking about the actual like symbolism of it, the part that I can provide, it's so perfect that after the world has been turned upside down, we start the opening upside down, right? We start this opening kind of where we left off in the story, with this whole world turned upside down and and Yuji just in this blood red world, right? It's such a perfect welcome back after the ridiculousness of Shibuya incident. And of course, there's that giant eye, which I'm not sure if we know what that is. It definitely looks familiar. I wonder if it's... I was thinking initially it was the prison realm. But there is one other thing I want to look at. Yeah, you guys in the comments got it. So one of my favorite things about this opening that I forgot to mention. I guess I could mention as I'm going frame by frame, but one thing that is so cool about this opening that, I mean, yeah, I'm preaching to the choir here, but I've got to gush about it. I adore the framing of this opening throughout it. Through the framing of the cylinder he's looking through, right? This is such a cool visualization of this arc, about the fact that Kenjaku has this like mini Japan here, and he's looking through this little cylinder thing, right? But it's not just a little cylinder thing. It's what we see what we see Yuki looking up through here, and we see it like building up over here, right? We've got these are the barriers. These are the different colonies, the different colonies. These are the different colonies, right? With the barriers that we see in the opening. So it is so cool how throughout this opening, you have these things building up, you have these things standing out, and not only are they the incredibly important culling game barriers of the different colonies, but they're also demonstrated through this part here as the little like looking glass, little telescope thing that he's using to analyze the culling game and to like look at all the different characters. It's so cool, and it's such a cool framing throughout the opening. And then at the very end, we have the bomb dropping, which frames him again through that cylinder, right? We see him laughing through the cylinder that has been like blown open with the bomb. It's such good framing, this circularness, and the fact that what I didn't notice before, that's basically what Yuji's walking towards. It's almost like the cylinder that he was looking in got lifted up slightly, right? And in front of him is Yuji. Here's my little reenactment of it. You're welcome for that. That is so cool, and it really ties this whole opening together beyond all the chaos of everything that's going on. And before the eye appears, which I believe appears as soon as he walks through it, even before that, it already looks really cool, right? Because, as my first image will show here, as Alex is noting that it's a reference to Series Force by Max Ernst, and here are a couple of them, so kind of this weird circle thing in the sky, which is already really cool on its own. But, like, it also kind of looks like an eclipse, right? Like this burning eclipse, which is such a cool visual and such a great... There's so many creative ways to bring out this circle, not leitmotif, but I guess just regular motif. There it is again, right? You see this throughout, and it really ties things together. It makes you feel like this entire season, this entire arc that is greater than this season, is all in the palm of Kenjaku's hand, right? it's all brain is just standing over all of it, and all we can do is look up and bask at it and try not to play along. It's absolutely phenomenal. Breaking off like that, it looks so cool. It's absolutely phenomenal framing, and I love it. And starting with this like upside down frame, this red world usually walking towards it, it's just brilliant, right? I think we can all agree on that. Speaking of images, I need to put some on the Discord now that the finale has gone past. Mr. Light, absolutely. Any season 3 spoilers that cover the end of season 3, I'm now fully available to. So that no longer needs to be in the no-brainers section, which is a small portion of stuff, I suppose. But it's nice to have. I love how Specials ends with Yuji entering the Culling Games arc, and AIZO starts with Yuji leaving the Shibuya incident arc behind. Max Godard, 100%. Right? In the Specials, I don't have that pulled up, but you have him walking away, right? Which something I'm really proud of. I'm not a predictor. My expertise is in analysis, right? But I will lay claim to this bit of fame that when I first watched Specials, I accurately concluded that Yuji's isolation at the end of Specials, him turning away from everything, what everyone else was looking at, was him kind of going off on his own. And he did technically go off on his own, even though there is a small group with him now who are all kind of going rogue. But I'm really proud of myself for catching that. It's just great direction on that opening and this opening's part. By the way, the hand light in the kitchen is Skuna. You can see his nail polish. I assume we'll get to that in a second. JJK does something very good with its opening, which is they compensate for the lack of openings with the straight storytelling through them. Season 2, we could jump straight into the action of Hidden Inventory precisely because the opening fills in the gaps of how Gojo's and Geto's life was as students, which in other anime would have been done by. Yeah, Max, that's such a great thing to point out. Filler just by enlarging the arc. Yeah, that's absolutely the case. And your other comment, we barely get Kenjaku scenes throughout season 3, but part of why we kept feeling how he haunts the narrative is how present he is in the opening. Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the many reasons why I don't skip openings. One, in case they happen to do little changes in them, but more importantly, because it's a tone setter, right? For any good show, the opening is as much of an opportunity as the show itself, right? You have so much of an opportunity to impress upon the viewer either the tone of the show, the focus of it, whether it's characters, story, just world building, or whether it's something that the show doesn't really need to spend time doing. Like you mentioned the hidden inventory, and you took the words right out of my mouth. I adore how hidden inventory, how Where Our Blue Is, Ao no Sumika, has all these different scenes that we don't really see in the show because the opening takes care of it, right? We see all these people chilling out and just hanging out. All these people. Geto, Gojo, and I'm trying to remember the woman's name. Iaidi? I think it's Iaidi. But all three of them, like, they're all just like hanging out, right? And we get the little lives of Rico as well. And it's really cool how we have all these people just doing these things that we know they're doing, this slice of life feeling, in the opening, so we don't really need to have much of it in the show because that kind of covers it. And as you said with season 3, we don't need to keep seeing Kenjaku looking over the Culling Games because it's in the opening. And if you skip the opening, it's just a shame how a lot of people do that because you miss out on that, right? You miss out on A, the focus of the eclectic nature of this opening. You miss out on B, the tone setting of, again, the crazy sounds of it and also the framing of Geto looking down. And you also miss out on all these, you miss out on the overall feeling of dread, of feeling like you're nothing more than a piece, right? If you skip the opening, you just don't really get them too much, which is such a shame. It was for the lack of slice of life scenes, not openings, in my first comment. Um, are we disagreeing there, Max? Because as I'm reading it, it sounds like you're basically saying the same thing that I just said. I mean, I was talking about with hidden inventory, the fact that these characters don't really need these slice of life scenes in the show because it's covered in the opening, right? So we kind of get that covered. If there's something else that you were adding on to that, I think I might just be missing it. Oh, I'm correcting myself. Okay, I gotcha. The lack of openings, yeah. Okay, I think I did see that because the openings. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, yeah. I saw that. I just kind of went over it. I wrote something wrong. Okay, gotcha. Cool. We're on the same page then. Yeah. Kenjaku's mentioned in almost every episode, so there's no way of forgetting him. Shadow Monarch, yeah. And that's also points in for Gege, right? It's not just Gosok who's doing all the heavy lifting. I mean, we don't really get to see him, but he's constantly being mentioned, right? So there's always this impending feeling, and that's amplified by the opening. We've got Laughing Fox here. Welcome. The Hidden Inventory compilation movie has a great addition in the ending. It's like 50 photos of the trio Gojo, Geto, and Shoko. That was her name, that's right. I would love to see that, actually. Might have to go check that out in the future. Cool. Oh no, the Yuta edition is in the specials. Yeah, that was one thing that I also really loved. That you only get from watching all the openings, right? In the final episode, how they have a little bit of Yuta in specials for like no reason, just for the sake of it, and it's a great little detail that shows the attention that they're putting into the series, right? The colon game barriers are stunning, like antennas to heaven. Some known. Couldn't have put it better myself. It's really got this otherworldly feeling to it. I did wish Gege spent more time with character interactions. Retro, I kind of agree with you there. I've mentioned this before when I was talking about JJK and like some of my criticisms with it, and just I wouldn't say necessarily fully criticisms. They're more things that I don't like about it, just me personally. I've mentioned how JJK is a little bit too fast for its own good, and as a form of art doing something that's unusual, I think I'm like fully on board with it. I think it's brilliant how it really just leans into the breakneck pace and the efficiency of storytelling I never thought possible. When it comes to actually getting attached to like the characters and really feeling comfortable in the story, it does kind of sacrifice that. Excuse me, it does sacrifice that a little bit, right? Because it's so breakneck, it doesn't really have time for those little moments that matter a little bit less. That, for instance, Freerun is perfect with. That kind of hinders the attachment to the story in a lot of ways for a lot of people, myself included. Which is why JJK would never really be a contender for a 10 on my Mal list. If that sounds like out of left field, go ahead and watch my Mal reviews for my specific like ranking criteria. And I'm not sure if it would be an 8 or a 9. I haven't decided yet. I think for now it might stay as an 8. Because, like I said, my 9s need a special thing to bump them up to a 9. So I'm not sure if JJK has that just yet. But it is incredible, right? It's a gripe that's more about myself than it is about like quality of the show. But it is very true that it does lack that, right? It does lack a lot of character interactions, a lot of those slower moments that really let you build emotion and attachment to a lot of the stuff in the story, which is a bit of a shame, but it's a trade-off, I suppose, for having the ridiculous breakneck pace of the actual story. Sumnon's going to be drawing Mokuro. I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be awesome. Shadow Monarch, AIZO doesn't have changes throughout the seasons. I can all but guarantee that. Specials definitely does, though. And I think that's what Laughing Fox is talking about with the Yuta edition. Sumnon, I think the Yuta Kudo frame gets slightly more time. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure the opening stays the same the whole time. In fact, I'm almost certain it does. I've watched it so many times, but I could be proven wrong. We'll see. Oh, Mr. Light uploaded the movie content in the Discord last week. You did mention that. Yeah, I'll definitely have to take a look at that because that sounds very much worth looking at. Let me know which channel it was in though, so I can pull it up there. People still slander Yuta and Megumi. Living Dog, Megumi deserves slander, and so does Yuta. What the fuck did the Big Meg do? They definitely don't deserve slander. Oh, now we fight. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. AIZO opening also had a little change. I don't know who was replaced, but they did put in Udo, Ryu, and Druve. I'm gonna need a double check with that because I kind of doubt that. Living Dog. They're in the opening of episode 1, season 3, I can guarantee you. They're having this many people in the intro from season 1. So yeah. It looks like Living Dog is supporting me and giving me a little bit of sanity check. Yeah, because I do also remember, and maybe I'm just gaslighting myself, but I very much remember seeing Udo in the opening from part 1, and now I have a name for her, but she's like super memorable, right? She looks absolutely insane. So, oh my god, list of chicks is here. Oh no. Well, buckle in, guys. We're gonna be here till 6 p.m. But like, it doesn't change, right? And I think you'd be able to know. And it wasn't replaced by the Zane members because they're already here. But like, this part is pretty. It's pretty iconic, right? So it definitely isn't an addition. It stayed how it is. So, and I think that's perfect, right? I think if you had a change in the opening, that would imply that you held back on the opening, that you were trying to hide things. And that would kind of take away from, like I said, the eclectic, manic feeling of the opening. So it's kind of necessary that it doesn't change because their whole point is not to hide things, right? When everyone is different colors, can you check what characters they show? Yeah, Shadow Monarch. We're going to still go through this frame by frame, so don't worry, we'll definitely get there. Which reminds me, we should get back into it because we're obviously going to get quite distracted, but... So, let's get back into here. Smag, I feel like JJK wouldn't work without the speed, though. It's kind of a shame. Yeah, we're in full agreement there. List of chicks, I've been here the whole time. List of chicks been lurking. Yes, but you're not actually here until you comment, so I don't care if you've been watching or listening the whole time. You don't exist until you comment. So for the like 5 of you who are also lurking right now, I hate to break it to you, you kind of don't exist. Feel free to comment so you can start existing, though, and I'll say welcome. I'm the center of the universe, in case you couldn't tell. So, let's move forward, right? Get some water first. Living Dog's been in In-N-Out for like an hour and a half. Living Dog, why are you at In-N-Out for an hour and a half? I don't think burgers take that long to eat, man. Come on, chop chop. People gotta take it. You know how busy In-N-Outs are? People gotta get out of here, so move along, okay? Let somebody else have the table. Let somebody eat their fries. And just go home. You can watch this at home. You don't need to watch this for an hour and a half at In-N-Out, man. Come on. Come on, Living Dog. Only I get to be selfish like that. Me and List of Chicks. So we're moving forward here, and we obviously get Principal Gakuganji. I have to assume it's him turning it up, or this could be someone else, actually. I initially thought this was like a guitar, but now it's actually a dial, so... Oh, this is what you were talking about. Yeah, someone was mentioning the, this was Sukuna, right, with the nail polish? So presumably this is, apparently according to you guys, this is Sukuna. And if he's turning up the heat, then, like, that makes perfect sense. And then we get this, forgive my French, YouTube, but we get this fuck all massive title card that is virtually unreadable, right? It has to be Sukuna because the writing says Fuga. Oh, really? Does it? I think I missed that. Oh, wait. Is that what's on the top there? Where's the Fuga? Am I missing it? It's not even playing. Hold on. I guess that's the open, right? There's the kanji for open down there. I don't see Fuga itself, though. Can you translate what he said in French? It's next to the dial on the right. Okay, I assume it's that. It's the kanji for Akaru, which he says fuga, right? Yeah, the kanji. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so you're right. You're right. It's definitely skin in that regard. So yeah, you get this fuck all absurdly large text, right? Which is really hard to read because of all the red in the background, which is obviously very intentional, right? This is clearly, I mean, it's part of the overwhelmingness, and it's part of like you not of it not being a pleasurable viewing experience in the best way possible, right? So you get this big old freaking explosion with what seemed to be, I don't know if those are supposed to represent the different colonies, or if those are like, they look like little torchlights, or they might like be like spotlights. I'm not sure. They look like torches. We get the credits, of course, going, and we get this big old explosion, which this is either in reference to Shibuya, or this is the bomb that Kenjaku is going to be dropping. Either way, it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's animated on ones because of course it is. Oh, they're lights from the stove, Unknown. Thank you. Yeah, it's stove lights. So, okay, that's coming together. Yeah, he turns up the heat. Sukuna turns up the heat on the oven. And we get the stove lights and we get the explosion in the center. Okay, that's awesome. It's a stove. That is really cool. Smag, if I watched the version with the text translate, I don't think those are credits. It's been a while. You know, Alex did mention this is a non-credit version. That's a good point. What are these then? I don't know enough Japanese to know. Tadashi. Oh, a proper death. Jidai. Jujutsu. King something no Jidai. Okay, so these are like actual relevant things. Okay, so they're probably, yeah, different quotes from the different seasons. Important quotes from season 1, season 2. Thank you, Max. Yeah, Laughing Fox has it too. Okay, that's really interesting. Yeah, so all the different quotes from the different seasons. That's really cool. Playing over this big old explosion. That is awesome. And then of course, out of this explosion, which presumably is the cooling game since it's the oven, or no, it's Kenjaku turning it up. It's Sukuna turning it up. So this is probably, I really need to get familiar with my cityscapes, but I assume this is Shibuya, the explosion that happens here. And then out of the last arc, we get Yuta, of course, coming out, pulling out his sword. We get this completely upside out. I love how we get Yuji here, and once again, we get this upside down world, right? Which lines up so well with what we had with how the opening started, right? With this upside down world turning right side up. It's great how Yuji, keeping that continuity, Yuji is coming out of this upside down world, getting his fist ready. And I'm not entirely sure if there's like much of a meaning here for Joso just in this like very Japanese style room, these infinitely repeating and spinning around. I'm not sure. But with Megumi, I am very sure what this is, because here is something I never really thought too much about, but oh, it's so cool. The fact that it starts from Tokyo and then goes into where the Zane clan is, into the what do you call it? The Zane clan in the countryside. And then you have this is where the second image comes in that Alex provided with me. It's right. My favorite. People talking about register in here. Oh my goodness. Okay. I feel the spinning represents the fetal position or something because he was kind of spinning in a jar for 150 years. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. So, yeah, Choso spinning around in here fits perfectly. It is very like fetal, right? For the 150 years of like these endlessly repeating rooms is just him going through the times. That's really cool. I like that interpretation. So we get Megumi here, right? And this is pretty clear. But we've got a nice visual here by Alex. And if I can find the button, it is this one. I'm gonna make this a little bigger because it's kind of small. There we go. Let me just block myself out here. We get a nice comparison here. I guess side by side just for a second. Yeah, it's cool how they represent this in the opening here in this fairly subtle way. Thoughts on the goat Akarinita? Retro. Come on, you know my thoughts on Akarinita. She's precious. She's second only to Miwa, and if anything happens to her, I make my same promise as Miwa. I will kill everyone in this room and then myself. Thankfully, nothing has happened to her. We got really close to it in Shibuya Incident, but everything is okay. Everything is perfectly fine, and everything will continue to be perfectly fine. Because that's just how this goes. Are we understood? So, moving back from here, we've obviously got Yuji opening up his domain as he does in the final arc. Or, I guess, second to final arc, but yeah. I love Nita. And then we got this, which I didn't realize until I was looking at it now. I guess in the topic of, since this whole kind of started the opening is, except for, I guess, Megumi here, is going through the previous arc, the Shibuya Incident, we, of course, have Maki getting volcano-headed, which is just absolutely lovely. I'm so glad for that. I'm just so glad we get that in the opening. I mean, it makes sense, right? Because it's pretty important and critical for her who's obviously alive, Maki who's alive, and this was the last thing that happened to her. So it makes sense here. And then we, of course, get Megumi going, slowly standing up as we flash through all the different images. And the reason I'm going through them quickly is because, once again, I have another visual here, courtesy of Alex. We've got... Bam. Here we go. I didn't have the time to, like, crop it out here, so I'm just going to replace chat for a second, just so you guys can appreciate this for a little bit. Not a whole lot of commentary here, but... So we've got the first one, of course, which is the Divine Dogs with the proper symbol. And I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. I'm not going to read through all of them, but just a cool way of showing all of them. We've got, of course, Bancho, full elephant. We got the big old toad, who appears to be eating someone. I'm not sure exactly who that is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was registered, because he did get toaded just a little bit inside of the domain. We've got the Great Serpent, who's no longer here, unfortunately. The Escape Rabbits, which I don't know if we knew this already and I just forgot, or if not, but the fact that only one rabbit has a symbol, and if that rabbit dies, they all die, I did not know about this, and I'm kind of terrified. But yeah, those are the Escape Rabbits. Then, of course, we've got the big old weapon with Makura, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it's just a cool way of showing off all the different abilities of his. And I think immediately after we're going to move on to the next picture, so I should probably just keep that ready. Maki burning or burning the world, Zang. Ooh, Alex, that is a good point. Good call out here. So when we have Maki burning, there's also the feeling that Maki, in her kind of burning her, or in her being burned here, the fire kind of spreads, right? And also burns down the Maki clan. Very cool. Explanations in the comments of episodes 10 and 17 of season 2. Okay, thank you, Alex, for that. Go ahead and check that out if you're interested, if you're watching the VOD. Or if you're not watching the VOD. But ideally after the live stream, though. So yeah, we got the different hand signs he's slowly getting up, which is really cool. And then after we get that... Oh, hold on. Laughing Fox. The series in general makes many references to Buddhism, such as the hand signs used to activate domains. All of them have their own extra meaning. I do remember hearing about that. I think quite a while ago. I forget where it was from, but I don't know the different hand signs themselves, but it was probably Alex, let's be honest, the cultural expert sharing that knowledge. But I did forget about that. The hand signs are very Buddhist inspired, which makes sense because Japan itself is also very Buddhist leaning, I suppose you could say. Also, yes, Smagif. Thank you, Gege, for keeping Miwa safe. I will continue to pray at the Shrine of Gege to make sure Miwa stays safe. So after that, we get this cute little bit of Panda rolling around as a little kid, which I keep saying this. I'm sure you guys are going to mention it in the comments. I'm sure you guys are going to clarify that there's actually some deep symbolism of him rolling over, doing a little front flip, showing that his world is being turned upside down with his father dying. But I think it's more just hinting at the, I guess, subtle part backstory that we got of Panda, and we got with the principal, of course, in episode 2, I believe. Very cute. Parkour Panda is precious and love him very much. Panda Productions. I'm not sure I know what that is. And of course, right after that, we've got. Oh, right. Right after that, we have the principal. So this is probably the principal remembering, kind of bringing his kid back. And Shadow Monarch, yeah, it's just a panda rolling. But the point of this is probably we cut immediately to the principal, right, in the present day. So he's reflecting back on Panda, who is kind of the centerpiece of the scene, right? The lore centerpiece of President Yaga dying is talking about the how Panda was created. So it makes sense that these are right together. Anything can be symbolic if you stretch it enough. Thank you, Smagif. That's the literature major in you talking. Perfection. But a lot of this, I mean, you could try to find symbolism in it, and I'm sure Alex could, but for something like this Maki is just killing this freaking tiger. I mean, you can find symbolism that pretty easily, right? Killing this dangerous beast, killing the Zhang clan, but more importantly, as Alex shows here, this is a reference to this painting right here. Let me delete myself so I can have them side by side, which is really cool. This sort of like ancient art piece, and kind of building onto the thing that we were talking about earlier in the stream, where Gosso talked about bringing out inspirations from present things as well as like earlier and like older paintings, right? Let me make this a little bit smaller. Maybe I'll just make this kind of small because you don't really need to see it in super big detail, and I'll put it next to the chat. That should be fine for viewers at home. There we go. That'll do for now. Yeah, Alex, the file names are the names of the painting. That's a good point. Actually, let me pull that back up so I can call them out as they're showing up. Should have it right over here. Just in case, here it is. Yeah. Let's see, it's going to be just pulling this up on the side. Kashiwade no Hanoshi, killing a Korean tiger that devoured his daughter. Oh. Oh. So this is definitely about the Zhang clan. Killing a Korean tiger that devoured his daughter. I guess her daughter in this sense. Because she's killing the Zhang clan, right? Who devoured her sister, devoured their own daughter in that sense. That is a really, really cool touch and cool reference to this to this painting, right? Kashiwade no Hanoshi. Fascinating. We already went over this in the Pokemon streams. The curtains are blue for a reason. Absolutely. Some known. I think Maki and Yuta are being compared to legendary creatures due to their strength, warranting myths and legends of their own. That's an interesting take. I like that. Because right after Maki here, we do get one of the most powerful sorcerers of the modern era, right? Right up there with Gojo, one of the specials. We get Yuta, and Rika's also there. And this one is a reference to this one right here, whose name is... Hold on. Morozumi Bungo no Kami Masakiyo by Utagawa Kuniyoshi. No translation for this one. But it does look like a samurai striking down somebody else. And I don't... Can we see who this is that he's striking down? No, it looks like he's just kind of striking down on the ground. So I'm not entirely sure, but I mean, him like stabbing down does feel very reminiscent of him stabbing Yuji. Or it could be in the last arc. Could be as he's fighting Kudo or something like that. But it is really cool. It's a really cool reference. And this thing is, again, full of these references, both past and present, right? Which is a great little detail. Looks like the curse Yuta killed in the season 2 finale. That's true. It could be that. Yeah. As he was rescuing the little girl, right? The anglerfish curse. Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. And then Rika's just kind of cheering him on in the background. So then we get Maki twirling around with, again, that blood red moon, right, in the background. We get Yuji falling down, we get Yuta, and then we get to everyone with their, I guess, pseudo black flashes, let's call it. We get Yuki, who we really didn't see very much from in the season. Panda throwing a kick. And then, let's see. Choso with both of his hands, just getting ready to throw hands with Naoya. We get Maki, who's got her... I think this is what she entered the Zane clan with, her dagger, which didn't end up being super useful, but coming in, obviously about to obliterate the Zane clan. And hold on, everyone stop what you're doing. Theo is here. Hi, it's been a while. I'm just popping in quickly because I have to go to bed. Congratulations on finishing your first anime. Theo, welcome. I'm glad you could drop in really quickly, even though you won't be here too long. Yeah, I hope you've been doing all right. It's been forever since I've seen you, so hope everything's going okay, and hope I'll be able to see you in the channel a little bit more in the future. That's so cool. Another one of the OGs, right along there with Alex. I hope you're excited and will be watching along with Vinland Saga now that I'm finished with JJK, and of course, thank you for your best wishes. Anyways, get some sleep. This bot will be here when you get back, so hope you get a nice, good rest. Yeah, then we got Megumi, who's obviously doing one of his hand signs to summon out whatever creature it is. Unless this is the hand sign for his domain, I do not have good memory, so it could be really any of them. Turn this down just a bit. Aye. Is that too much? That's too much. Need to rush Vinland Saga or I'll have nothing to comment. Or better yet, Retro, you could watch a free run and then you could comment on that one as well. Because it's definitely worth it. Alex mentioning the domain. Okay, so this is Megumi summoning his domain. Perfect. And of course, Yuta, kind of self-explanatory. And then we have the one like true Black Flash, right? With Yuji, who's getting ready to not really hit anyone in this arc. We haven't seen any Black Flashes, thankfully, because we're not like murdering anyone. But it is just a really cool like shattered glass energy expression that I guess isn't technically Black Flash, but it's very reminiscent of it, right? With the reds and the blues. The reds and the blacks, right? It's very reminiscent of that color scheme. And I suppose just representing the massive power and the color and the power of each of these characters as they're ready to deliver a move. And then Theo, I'll definitely watch your Vinland Saga reaction. Awesome, awesome. I look forward to seeing you in the comments. It's been a while since I've seen you, so we've been missing your comments in there, man. Hope to see you around more often. Hope everything's been all right with you in the meantime. Retro Capital. Aiden LARPing right now. I'm talking about 0 Black Flashes this season. When I hit 5 Black Flashes in Sendai in a row, straight to the jugular of Kudo. It was so easy. I can't believe I missed that Sumdone. You know what? It's probably just because I blinked, honestly. I do have this really bad tendency of blinking, and historically, most of the time Black Flashes happen, they happen as I blink, so I do apologize for that. I will try to be better in the future, though. So I hope you'll give me that second chance. So moving on from this one, we have this, which I did not catch in the opening at all. I did not notice this until Alex sent me these files, and this kind of like jump scared me because somehow I've gone watching all of these openings and never seen this little bit from Choso's POV as he sees all of his brothers, right, enjoying their time, like that flashback we had, that impossible flashback we had back in season 2. So great little touch here, reminding us of the people whose names I definitely remember who got kind of destroyed at the end of season 1. We get Tsumiki, who is sleeping, not for much longer. The sunlight's flowing into the room, right? She's about to awaken. And then we get a perspective from Parkour Panda looking up at his dad at rest in peace, Yaga. And then we get this, and I'm actually, help me out in the comments here. I tried to look at this before. I don't know who this is. They're very small, so they're a little hard for me to see, but I'm sure some of you who have zoomed in and done analysis on this can tell me who this is. This is kind of like old style here, so it makes me think Zayn Clan, but I'm not sure. Smagif, I was Retro's cursed energy, I can confirm. Catch, I was the Sparks of Black, I can also confirm. Max Go Dart, I'm Kurobushi, so I can confirm Retro Capital's feed of the 5 black flashes. I love how the IPPC stands by each other. You guys are the actual best. You guys are the absolute best. Some known as a cockroach in the festering life blade. Can't confirm. Fucking hate Crow Jr. You guys are ridiculous. You guys are genuinely ridiculous. Shadow Monarch, I think it's my. Retro, it's my. Oh. When Maki left the Zayn clan, it showed Mai is listening in on it. Maki probably by Zang reference, so it could be Mai. Okay, that's a good point. This could be a reference to Mai after, or I guess not Mai. Well, Mai died, so it's either Mai after Maki leaves, or maybe it's Maki reflecting back on after Mai dies, right? Whatever, this is kind of heartbreaking. Smag, if I ought to get in the Discord. Yeah, if you're enjoying this stream, we do them every day in the Discord. That's a lie, I shouldn't say that. But there are similar shenanigans, both serious and non-serious discussions, and some exclusive announcements. So it's completely free. Just check out my Patreon, join for free, or join for not free and help me out a little bit. It's up to you. But Discord, it's easy access, and you're not going to regret it. If you like my channel and you like this community, Discord is just getting more of that. And then, of course, here we have Yuji and Sukuna looking in the mirror. And I assume this bathroom is a reference to when he was fighting Choso in the restroom. And just the absolute insane fight that I'm not going to forget about anytime soon. Season 3 tried its absolute hardest, but it was a really good episode there. But yeah, we've got this one. Smack if I'm kind of broke, but we'll see about it. Don't worry. I'm obviously joking. It's completely free to actually join in it, so I really do appreciate the support if you do want to support me and if you want to get access to unaltered reactions, but you really don't have to. I want to make sure that my channel stays free because I think that's important, especially today when everyone is broke, myself included. And I'm lucky enough that I get just enough to make by through my VA disability, but I'm willing to wait. If you guys don't have to go more broke supporting me, and I can just take time until I get to 1,000, start monetizing my channel, then that's the win for me. But if you guys want to help me on Patreon, then it's all the more appreciated for me. So yeah, entirely up to you. But the fact that you're watching enough is enough to help me out. So thank you, Smagif. Adri, you always said we are dead to you if we don't support you financially. Okay, so Retro, you're kind of twisting my words and misunderstanding what I said. I wasn't referring to a general you. I was referring to just you, Retro Capital. Everyone else is good, but if you don't support me financially, in fact, I'm going to check after the stream to see if you're on my Patreon, you are going to be dead to me. But don't misunderstand my words. It's only you, Retro Capital, okay? Everyone else, you guys are good. I love you guys. Or the scene from episode 1 in this season, the washing hands. Laughing Fox. That is a good call out there. Yeah, that's something I was thinking of as well. When he's washing his hands, right? And they're like blood red. Oh, that's a really... Oh, I like that a lot. Oh, I like that a lot. Shadow Monarch dropping the bars. Is there blood in the reflection or just on Yuji's hands? That's really cool. So in the real world, we only see the tips of his hands that are all bloody, the edges of his hands that are all bloody. But in the reflection, we see everything but the hands, which I guess is partially just how reflections work, but it's a really cool effect that the blood, even though Sukuna is clearly evil and he's clearly at fault, the blood is on Yuji's hands, right? Or at least from Yuji's perspective. That is absolutely brilliant. Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, and as far as we can tell, in Sukuna's reflection, everything is clean. All of the dirt and grime and blood is in the real world as Yuji's looking at it. Really, that is really cool. Wow. I'm so glad I decided to do this live because you guys are, as I expected, you guys are really carrying this analysis and just adding so much more to it. It's absolutely phenomenal. On Warner, Goso's great work. First of all, welcome. I think that's your first comment here. I haven't seen you in here before, so welcome. Glad you could both make it and leave a comment. And yeah, your comment is 100% correct. Goso is phenomenal, and my appreciation of him is just skywriting. It's just skyrocketing looking over this opening. It's absolutely incredible. Mr. Light, chilling. Every time someone asks why Yuji doesn't ask for Sukuna to come out when he's in danger this season, I think of this frame. Retro, I always thought it's Yuji post Shibuya looking at himself and only seeing Sukuna's reflection instead of him, because he doesn't view himself as an individual anymore, just as a monster like Sukuna is. Yeah. That's really cool. I mean, it's just a really cool visual, right? Even if you don't look at all the different layers, just this feeling of having these bloody hands and looking at Sukuna, who's really to blame for it, it's absolutely chilling. Absolutely incredible. Smack GIF. It leaves me gobsmacked that so many reactors say stuff like Sukuna's gonna save Yuji. Oh. Okay. You know what? This thing's in my way. I need to turn this off for a second. I need to make this face me because we need to have a talk real quick. We need to have a talk, okay? And I'm talking to you guys who are watching the reactors, but also the actual reactors themselves. It is the most frustrating thing in the freaking world. One of the things I hate most about the anime community, at least right now, I don't know if this has always been the thing, but this obsession with characters going a beast mode and going insane and like being taken over by this darkness and like saving them from when they need it, right? Like during My Hero Academia, this angered me so many times as people were just like, people saw Deku lose control and they were like, hell yeah, now Shigaraki's gonna get destroyed, right? All for One's done for. And they missed the entire point that the point of it is that he is not himself when he's not in control, right? He's not as strong. All for One literally beckoned and baited Midoriya to come out because he loses control and he's so easy to fight when he does that. And then you look here in JJK and like, ooh, why doesn't Sukuna come out? Oh, Sukuna can save him, just pull it out. You don't want that. The whole point of Shibuya Incident, not the whole point, but one of the biggest takeaways you were supposed to get from Shibuya Incident is that you don't want Sukuna to come out. You don't want Sukuna to come out because countless people die, and Yuji does not necessarily have control anymore. And we know that. He's getting more fingers, he's getting stronger. No. I mean, on Warmer, there's a meta element to it too. Yeah, sure, you could say that Sukuna could just get them out of this. But could he? When Yuji was fighting Higuruma, Do we know for sure that Sukuna could have gotten him out of it? Just put Sukuna in the hot seat and then see what he has to say. I don't know. He certainly couldn't fight Higuruma if they're in his domain, so there aren't really that many cases where Sukuna could have even helped Yuji that much, but for some reason, the anime community has this obsession, and I realize I started this rant on reactors, but it's not just them, they're just kind of the mouthpieces. There's this like obsession with these main characters getting this dark power and that they should use it when they really need to, and like, oh, consequences be damned. That's all well and good until you face the consequences. And in Shibuya Incident, we faced the freaking consequences. Why are we still doing this? Have we learned nothing? Probably not, because we're just sitting in our comfortable chairs watching Yuji suffer. Come on, guys, do better. Let's actually want these characters we're rooting for to succeed, yeah? Let's want them to be happy, yeah? I can't believe I'm saying this, but like, I feel like this needs to be said because it doesn't get said enough. It's so... God, it really grinds my gears, especially like I haven't watched reactions of JJK, but when I was watching reactions to the My Hero Academia final season, the amount of people who were just so, or I guess season 7, who were so excited when Midoriya lost control. It's like, you don't understand. I'm sorry. And maybe it's not entirely your fault. Maybe you've been conditioned by anime to be excited for the rage moments, but as JJK is showing here, it's just not really a good thing. It's not something you're supposed to cheer for, right? Anyways, sorry about that, Retro Capital. It seems I scared you a little bit, but I had to get that off my chest because it really does frustrate me as somebody who enjoys watching these shows, enjoys analyzing these shows, but more than that, enjoys relating to these shows and connecting with these characters, right? Like, I think we have this tendency to separate emotion and analysis, and I think my channel's done a pretty good job kind of break that down, because you watch my reactions, you watch me freak out, then I pull myself together and do an analysis. But that goes to say, like, my emotions are, I'm an emotionally driven person first and foremost, so I love connecting with these characters. So when people are begging for Yuji to pull out Sukuna, when people want Midori to lose control, it just upsets me so much because people don't think about the ramifications. They don't think that this is something that should be avoided. On Warner, you're saying it, you're just hitting home run after home run. Yeah. I see it a lot with Yuji's Cog mindset being praised rather than it being viewed as a dehumanizing thing. They see it as a success, as like Yuji's accepting reality, right? Because as adults watching the show, we all have our dose of cynicism. We want Yuji to like be beat down and understand reality and grow, right? We see that as maturity. But this is too far, right? This isn't a good thing. He's throwing out his morals. He's casting them aside. This is not a positive direction in his character. This is intentional character regression in the perverse direction that Gege wants to put it in, for a very good reason. But the fact that people cheer it just shows how much people are missing the point and what they're supposed to be seeing from this. I'm sure those people who cheered on Yuji becoming a cog were super confused by the ED of this season, or maybe they won't. They weren't looking into it. Maybe they just looked at how sad it is and went like, oh, that's so sad. Anyways, moving on. They didn't think about the fact that Yuji is suffering, right? Yuji is in pain, and we're hoping he gets out of this. We're not hoping he gets deeper in because it's cool and edgy. We want him to get out of this and to recover and become a functional, maybe not adult. I guess technically he'll never become an adult unless we can find another way to deal with Sukuna. But we want him to be as functional as he can, right? And to mature as much as he can, because he's a person. Come on, guys. Come on. Oof, I kind of took out my throat a little bit, but as Alex said, it had to be said, so. Looks like some of you agree with me too, so. I don't know, it just frustrates me, in case you couldn't tell. What's wrong with the King of Kindness, Sukuna? He and the Savior Kenjaku save and rescue and uplift people. Exactly, Retro. I don't know what I'm talking about. He's an absolute legend. Sukuna is just the hero we all need. The hero the story deserves. Smagif. Also, Sukuna would love nothing more than see Yuji suffer and die. And Ketch followed up with Sukuna would genuinely rather die than help Yuji, and Yuji literally never needs Sukuna at any point. Yeah, exactly, on both cases, right? Sukuna really hasn't had many opportunities for Yuji to come out. And also, like, he wouldn't, right? We've seen Yuji try to pull him out, and Sukuna's like, no, fuck you. This isn't, like, something he can just pull out. Because, guess what? I was talking about Yuji as a person. Unfortunately, Sukuna is too. A perverse person, but a person. It's so... God. We're getting kind of off track, but you know what? I don't mind. I don't mind. Because these all need to be said, right? These are important. We can't really do a proper reflection and looking back on JJK without also looking at the community, right? Because what is an anime without the people who watch it? One of the many ways KK ideologically opposes shonens of the past. Exactly, Max Godard. And that's the thing I kind of left unsaid. Like, I say, why are you doing this and what are you talking about? But it is true that we've kind of been socialized to see it like this, right? We've kind of been convinced by shonen of the past that these dark powers, these forbidden strengths, these moments of losing yourself and becoming a monster and going beast mode is anything but a bad thing. So it's nice that shows like MHA and JJK are turning around and saying, no, actually, these aren't good things. Even a show that's more cynical like JJK is still taking that stand, and it's great to see. Sukuna would have easily dealt with Higuruma if he wanted to. Sukuna would lose his CT, but he'd still have his CE and the CE reinforcement, so he gives Higuruma the same treatment he gave Megumi. So you're saying he would lose his technique, but with his still energy, he could still use energy and just obliterate stuff. That is an interesting point. He would still have he'd lose his technique rather than his energy, because unlike Yuji, he has a technique. It's an interesting point. Us getting Sukuna in moderation really does elevate the moments we get him. Some known, also a good point. Yeah. We haven't seen him like at all this season. I think we haven't seen him at all this season, or like heard him talk at all this season, which is after like us and Yuji being traumatized by him last season. There's something hauntingly beautiful about not seeing him at all this season. There's something hauntingly beautiful about that, because he took his bow, right? He had his act, he took his bow, and he stepped off the stage. Because he enters exactly when he wants to. There's no obligation that I need to show up every season. That's not how Sukuna does things. Ooh, even Gojo Snap when he was a 0.2 domain. Yeah, the like split-second domain. He was immediately punished with the prison realm, LMAO. Another great point, Catch. JJK fans are notorious for barely comprehending the series sometimes. Looking at Yuji can black flash at will mostly. God. Sukuna and Kenjaku would have been protagonists in past shonens with a little tweaking. Yeah, and I believe, Max, we've actually discussed this before. The fact that these characters potentially intentionally actually represent these darker sides of these past protagonists. And I think we talked about in a previous live stream how Sukuna sort of is that power-hungry person, right? And Kenjaku is the person with the end goal, who do whatever it takes to get there. And yeah, these are like these shonen protagonists, right? But JJK, as Alex has said, going against the grain and kind of responding to his predecessors by making these characters the antagonists, which is great. It's something I do in my own story, Moonlit Dawn, and it's just a really fun thing to take a protagonist trope and twist it into the antagonist, because it makes you realize just how close those two are together, right? It's a horseshoe. It's not all about perspective, but perspective matters a lot more than we give it credit for. Catch calling it out like it is. A lot of people just want hype and aura. Mr. Light, there's also something to be said about people wanting strong characters crushing any resistance. Like, do you want any conflict in your story? Do you just want an horror farming win button? Do you want an honest answer to that question, or do you already know it? Hate how confidently I get to say that. Anime was a mistake. Thank you, Mr. Light, bringing that quote out from the past. When was that? That was like 2018, right? That was a long time ago. Might have been actually like way before that, but I remember it got popular at some point in like the last decade. Oh god, some known. JJK is the solo leveling of 2026 was such a vile title for a video, a JJK reaction video. That is horrible. Oh my god. Do me a favor and don't say who it is because I don't need to confirm that. I'm just gonna pretend I didn't read that and you never said that. Oh god, that's horrible. Shadow Monarch. His last words to Yuji and Shibuya was, "Brat, make sure you savor this," and that's exactly what he's doing, right? He's letting Yuji savor it. I'm sure he's either waiting for his perfect opportunity to come back, or he's just not waiting for an opportunity. He's just hanging out and just seeing what happens next, right? Which I've got a feeling it's a little bit of both, because we did get the implication that Yuji is part of the Culling Games, likely because of a pact made between Sukuna and Kenjaku of some sort. That wasn't confirmed, it was just heavily implied, but if that's the case, then he's probably waiting for something. Or maybe he's sitting back and watching what Kenjaku does. We don't know, right? Because we barely see Sukuna. We don't see Sukuna this season, so all we can do is speculate wildly, which is just absolutely fantastic. Okay, some talk about how episode 4 wasn't viewed very well, I think, in Japan for season 3. It's kind of a shame. Potentially being Western inspired. I could see that a reason being for it being unpopular in Japan, that unfortunately. One moment everyone overlooks, in my opinion, is towards the end of season 1, once the Big Meg and Nobata and Yuji deal with the brothers, it's gonna make sure Yuji knows it's his fault the Finger Bearer curse was there. That's a good point. He doesn't react to it very much, but he's definitely, excuse me, he's doing what he can, right? He's doing what he can to make sure Yuji make sure he festers and really sits with all this negativity, which, I mean, cursed energy, it makes sense, right? Even if he doesn't have even if we don't consider any larger plans, just makes sense that he'd want that to make him stronger. And yeah, Yuji didn't want to let Megumi know because of the things they said in the beginning. Yeah, that was a great scene. I wouldn't say I've forgotten about it, but it's definitely been a while. I definitely need to brush off that memory, but it does feel more relevant than ever now. The key with Sukuna and Kenjaku is that they're full-blown curses and how they make everyone responsible for their own emotions. Humans who are more curses than a lot of the actual curses, right? The messed up thing with JJK's solo leveling is that it was meant positively. Yeah, they don't even know what they're doing. Which is the worst part. It's just depressing. Oh, Max, which is one of my definition for what a curse represents, our own incapacity to take responsibility for our emotions. Yeah, as we were talking about with the analogy video and the ingenious one before it, they're not cursed spirits, but these sorcerers are very much curses, right? And also calling out the curses of the world. Retro, not reading that comment. Put another way, no comment. We see Sukuna for one scene as he goes, huh? To Yuji dying. Smagif. Oh, that was in episode 1, huh? When he gets when he gets destroyed by Yuta. I guess we do see Sukuna there. I would really like to see Gege write a what if story where Yuta actually kills Yuji there, and we get to see Sukuna just be like, really? After all of Shibuya incident, you just fucking die. Next, I guess. Fuck. I guess whatever happens next happens next. Whatever. What the fuck ever. I mean, he clearly doesn't really care if Yuji dies, but it would be really funny after Shibuya incident, after he's taken all this time to make Yuji fester on all this negativity, just for him to eat shit from Yuta, which is like the best person to die to. But God, Sukuna and Kenjaku, people more monstrous than the monsters themselves, 100%. At the end of season 2, Kenjaku says, "Are you listening, Sukuna? It started again, the golden age of sorcery, just like in the Heian period." Yep. Love Megami and Yuji's platonic relationship. Still love the Nobara. On that, Retro Capital, you and I are agreed. Not much else, but at least on that, we've got that one. Smagif. Sukuna pulling up to offer his second binding vow so he can revive Yuji and pursue his true love, Megumi. Oh no, Retro. I think the platonic love between Megumi and Yuji might be a temporary thing. I think if Sukuna gets his hands on Yuji for good, then well, I'll just say shippers rejoice. Okay. We are still like less than a third of the way through the opening, so or I guess we're about a third of the way through the opening, so let's move on. Sukuna's fine dying as long as Yuji dies too. Very true, yeah. He's very he very much lives in the moment, right? The only reason he seems to care about the future is if the future allows him to enjoy the moment more. Smack it for getting a side tad tricked. Yep, a tad side tricked. I think. You don't fucking say. You don't say. So we move on to the next thing, and after like 2 hours, we finally get to the title card. Or we have the title card there, but we finally get to Yuki. God, I haven't seen her in like the whole season. Trying to remember her name. Looking up, of course, at the barrier, and of course the little cylinder thing that shatters into the moon, into the night. And then we get our title screen with the Culling Games Part 1. I think technically it's the first part or the former part, according to the kanji. But now we've got the intro here, and we've got it in proper, right? Because the first time when we got it with the insanity, it was in the ridiculousness of the Shibuya incident, and it was like intentionally impossible to read. But now we get the proper title card here. Right over. Oh. It's not muted. Uh-oh. YouTube, don't kill me. So yeah, we get the title card here with this really cool, like, stylized black and white rendering of the city. Very cool. We can't. Adori, pull up the intro again. We can't see it. You had to make the room for the wage open war against bad reaction channels. Oh yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, so. But yeah, we had Yuki looking up at the thing. You don't need to see that again. And then we had the title card here. Forgetting if the screen is not displayed. I got distracted, okay? I got very inspired to speak on a topic I care about all of a sudden, and I forgot to pull this back. Retro Capital's gonna head out soon. Gotta sleep since my last exam physics is tomorrow. Okay. Good luck on that, Retro Capital. It sounds like you've been doing okay on the exam so far, at least hopefully. So knock this one out of the park. You're gonna do great. Hopefully this didn't fill up too much of your brain space, I guess. Hopefully you got to have some fun and just wind down a little bit. So now that Retro's capital is gone, we can move on with the actual rest of the opening. So we obviously replace that with this the blood red sky with the bomb dropping, right? First it makes no sense, but it'll come together. One of the many things that are pulling this opening together. Here we get this bit, which is just a really it's on its own, it's a really funny little scene thing with everyone surrounding Tengen. Tengen makes this funny little face, and if you don't know the reference, and Kenjaku walks away with the screams. If you don't know the reference, it's already kind of funny and kind of weird. We love our Chef Boyardee man, but as Anwerner points out here, it is indeed a Ghost in the Shell reference, and Alex is goated for finding this. We've actually got a animated one here. So interestingly, not only is the as you can see in the pairing with there, not only is these two parts in the close-up the reference, but even the TV screens here is part of the reference, which is really cool and reminds me that I need to like watch Ghost in the Shell, because I don't know if I've ever seen it. I think I haven't seen it in like, it's been easily over a decade. Might have been like 2 decades since I've seen it. I haven't seen it since I was like under 10. It's been forever since I've watched Ghost in the Shell, if I've even seen it. But that's really cool. That's really, really cool. And Mr. Light pointed out, yeah, Alex is just goated. Absolute legend for finding all these resources and providing them, and for everything he does. He just today he sent me the link for it's not going to show up here. He sent me the resource for Vinland Saga, so I just had that downloading. So absolute legend. Max Godard, I agree. Let's make him president, and then he can show everyone the proper subtitles for anime, and also make us maybe not cultured. Though we got to bring him over to America, though, because, I mean, if we're going to make him president, we've got to make him president of something that matters, right? That'll affect the entire world, and what better place than America? So, Alex, you get your ass over here. You're becoming president. This is not a debate. I'm not asking. So Kenjaku gets up from this, from his little perspective, and oh, this is cool. I didn't actually notice this. The city's kind of like rising up. The foreground layer of the city is like rising up as he's putting down his I guess colony barrier. It's a cool little effect there. And of course he's looking down with one of the most iconic scenes and the most full circle scenes in the entire opening, just showing you, oh god, just showing you the perspective, not only that this opening is kind of framed around, but also just in general, giving you this reminder, right? Showing you that no matter everything that's going on in this opening and in this season is on this little game piece, is on this recreation of the city. Not literally, obviously, but everything that happens, no matter how big it feels, on like the larger scale of these plans of our antagonist, is just happening on this little game board. And then we get this really cool, shot of being like inside the cylinder, looking down at the city, and kind of looking down at the entire Earth, as it's like slightly affected by the lens. And then of course we flip it around and we see Geto's eye, which also fulfills the what is this eye thing from here. It's Geto's eyes looking down, looking through the hole, which is, oh god, it's so cool. It's such a brilliant opening. I think visually it's probably my favorite opening. And if I didn't like specials so much, it would just be my favorite, but it's absolutely phenomenal. It's absolutely stunning. So, speaking of stunning, we get Maki, or farming, as she just walks down. She just walks down this like hallway thing, obviously making her way to go beat the Zhang clan's asses. We get a distant shot of the barrier. Yeah, on Warner, the presentation is unbelievable. And Yuji, who I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking at here. My first thought is that it reminds me of the big focus on water in the first opening of JJK. How there's all this water, so it kind of reminds me of like a reflection in the water almost, like he's looking at his reflection. There might be something more clear this is a reflection of, but obviously it's Yuji being traumatized, right? And then we get these building blocks coming up, which I believe is the I'm not entirely sure. This might be Yuji fell over in the train from opening one. Exactly, Smagif. Now he's in the water like, oh god, I'm awake now. He's fallen asleep in the train. And then this is probably I don't know exactly what this is. I don't know, it could be like Zhang Clan building up the guy, but I always saw it as like the pillar of that Kenjaku's looking in, kind of like building up. But it's like weirdly like stony and geometrical, so I'm not entirely sure what that is. Oh, we got Panda with the other little pandas running around. We get Maki and Mai jumping around in the field, something that we'll definitely ever see in the show. Bring Mai back. Damn you, Gege. Bring him back, you bastard. Yuji scene could be him seeing the destruction of Shibuya from his mind. I feel like this him reacting to Megami explaining CG is 3x2? Assuming the CG in like season 3, episode 2. You know, Alex, mentioning the him seeing the destruction of Shibuya from his mind, it does also feel very intentional that this is very blue, right? Because we talked about it a lot in season 2, how the first opening is literally where our blue is, Alno Sumika, and then the next opening is all like blood red. So it feels very poignant that this is a very blue scene, and like even his red like scar thing kind of gets shadowed over by the blue. So perhaps this is like nostalgic, him looking back at this nostalgic blue, how peaceful things used to be before his trauma. Oh my god, Smagif, no way Yuji found where Gojo's blue was. Oh my god, season 2 opening 1, where our blue is. Season 3 opening, we found the blue, guys. We found it. Yuji had it all along. Yuji is a blue button pusher, confirmed, some known. I mean, we knew that already, right? That's why a lot of us are pressing blue, because we want to press it with our boy Yuji. And he's looking at the results. Horrible. So yeah, then we move on to some of the really saucy stuff. And I am debating taking off my cardigan because it's getting a little bit warmer in here. I'll hold on a little bit longer. It's nice and comfy. I want to keep it on. So then we get into some of the really saucy stuff, right? Apparently this was the like big spoiler that people didn't want me to watch the opening for, even though like even throughout it, as I was watching it, I didn't actually like see this in like episode 3 and 4, so it had to be pointed out to me, and I was just like, oh, I guess that was a spoiler. Whoopsies. Good thing I'm not good at like frame by framing, because it had to be pointed out to me. But here's where we bring out yet another one of the GOAT Alex's images. Not this one. Here we go. So let me find this painting is Dead Mother by Egon Schiele. And I mean, it's pretty uncanny, right? Looking at the two results, it's ooh, some known how are you just hands bloody even here. Trauma goes deep, goddamn. That's an interesting point. Yeah, that's pretty cool. The hands do look very conspicuously bloody here. Trauma does run deep. But yeah, I mean, the reference is really cool, but also, yeah, just the freaking stitches on the mother, very, very cool. And not only just that, but the fact that they use this, they take from the original art, the like darkness that's like wrapping around Yuji, feels very Kenjaku and Yuji coded. So great painting to try to reference because of all the meaning in it. Very cool. Non-attack on Itari, but it kind of surprised me that so many people missed the scars on Coyote's head. Yeah, I initially missed it too. In my episode breakdown of that episode, I looked back and I was like, wait a second. I sort of talked myself out of it. But yeah, it is very it is quite the reveal, even if a lot of us were too stupid to fully track onto what was going on. And then we get this, which is the next painting. Yeah, these two. And I think this is Mai and Maki, because they're like twins. Yeah, it's got to be these two, right? Because I don't think there's any other character it could be. Two Sleeping Children by Peter Paul Rubens. And yeah, that one kind of speaks for itself. It's very cute, and it definitely doesn't break our hearts that it's Mai and Maki at all. There's definitely no intent for that. People were breaking apart the painting references for days when the opening came out, some known. Cool. Well, I thankfully was not a part of the community, so I'm missing the bad, but also missing some of the good. So this is not really my discovery because I've already looked over it, but I feel like it's disingenuous to do the opening review and not go over these, right? Because it is a very important part of it. So speaking of, we've got Principal Yaga and the Panda, Parkour Panda, which is referring back to Camille Monet and a Child in the Artist's Garden at Argenteuil by Claude Monet. And you can see it right there. It's very indicative of it. And the fact that it's mother and child and like father and child here, again, very, very good painting decision making from Gosso / whoever was in charge of like finding these paintings and whoever went ahead and went with these. So the next one, I assume this is Yuji and Yuji's mom. That one doesn't quite look like Yuji's mom. Might just be a different hairstyle, or it could be someone else. Takeru and Kusakabe's sister. Is that what this is? Oh, that's kind of heartbreaking if so. Another like small detail though. Very interesting. Sketch Mother with Child in Her Arms by Kathy Kolwitz. Interesting. Is this Takeru and Kusakabe's sister? Interesting. Such a small like moment. Also choosing a reference. That one's pretty interesting. And then obviously the next one is one that we all know. Never seen this frame somehow. I mean, the next one is a reference to something that we're pretty much all familiar with. It's The Scream by Edvard Munich. And it is kind of cool. This is like, it's such a dynamic little shot here. And I'm not entirely sure who this is. The eyes are blocked out. My guess is that this is Maki's mother just dealing with the Zhang clan and like her daughter and all that stuff just because of the kind of old style clothing here. Not sure though. The eyes are blocked out, which is kind of interesting. Maki and Mai's mom. Okay, yeah, Alex is confirming. Yeah, so she has every reason to be the Scream here, so I think it's kind of self-explanatory given what happens. And then we move on to the next like mini framing of this next part in the opening, which I absolutely adore. I love how it's not actually like something that happens in the show. It's just kind of here, just to introduce you and to prime you to the ridiculousness that is Comedian. And I mean, it's just great. It's just great. They're just training in a gym because why not? Because why not? Maybe it'll be something that happens in season 4. Who knows? But I also like how it's just him going, and then we have some flashes, and then it's him and Yuji, and then eventually, reluctantly, Megumi joins in, as reluctantly as you can get. But I'm gonna move back a little bit because yeah, we got to go through this because there's a lot of flashes that happen in between these people joining. There's obviously Naoya, who's running up. Oh, second. We've got Naoya, who's charging straight into his death. Oh, we got Mai and Maki here, who Naoya is obviously running straight towards. Well, at least Maki. Who are looking opposite ways. Obviously, they're not going their separate ways, but, you know, getting, as they drifted further apart as they got older. Heartbreaking. And this is really cool. Something that I kind of caught like in the corner of my eye every opening, but I never caught this was Remy. But this is probably one of my favorite parts about the opening. The little hint of Remy going down this one path, and then it switches to a different intersection, and we get not Amai, Amai, I think his name is, walking down the other path. So it's Megumi and Yuji being led down different ways, right? But also being in different places because these two aren't really working together. It just so happens that they're leading our characters away from each other. And it's just a really cool flash between the two. And oops, wrong one. The reference of the day is the series Y Junction by Tadanori Yoko. And here are a few examples. So yeah, we got the intersections, and we got these characters who are misleading. One of them's misleading, one of them's true. Diverging paths. I'm just happy Remy gets a separate scene of her own in the opening, though. That's all I need to be happy. And you know what? I'm gonna take this off. It's a little too hot in here. Probably because family's here. Shadow Monarch, wow, they put a lot of thought in this opening. Yeah, they did. An insane amount, which is why I think it's only fair that we give them the time and credit they deserve in this live stream. Because there's just so much in here. Ooh, excuse me. Hopefully you couldn't hear that too well. Ooh, some known. You can see the Y junction Amai goes down has a sunflower on the wall, which symbolizes Higuruma. Oh, that's a really good catch, some known. Yeah, so you can tell which one of them is actually lying, which one's telling the truth, because one of them has the sunflower, which, yeah, it's Higuruma, right? Always facing the sun. That's really cool. God, it's so well thought out. It's so well thought out. Absolutely worth gushing over. And then we've got what some known pointed out before with the Three Lawyers painting. And this one, if I can get this thing to work. The Three Judges by Honoré Victorien Daumier. There we go. Of course, this is referring to person, Higuruma and the two people he killed, right? The 2 points he has beyond the 100 from the people he killed, which was a really cool hint at like his backstory when we learned that Higuruma has 102 points. It's like, what people did he kill? And then we learned that it's actually not civilians from like during the game. It was, I guess, technically during the game, but realistically before he knew what was going on. So very cool there. And then the next flash, yep, then Yuji joins in with Takaba doing this ridiculous training montage, and Yuji is, of course, putting his heart and soul into it, because that's just how Yuji is, right? Yuji points his hands to the sky. I'm not sure what entirely to make of this, other than the fact that he appears to be ready to join Chainsaw Man and become Makima's new right-hand man. Other than that, I'm not entirely sure. It is cool how his hands change colors he raises to the sky. First steps of the finale of season 2 and the intro of season 3. Okay, yeah, like as he's on the bridge, and the thing that comes up behind him. Okay, gotcha. Last season from season 2, yeah. Okay. And he lures out curses, yeah. So more blending of the ending of Shibuya Incident and building up into this into the Culling games. And again, we got that blood moon. Oh, got the blood red moon, but also like darkened, hazy over with like these cursed. I was gonna say cursed energy. I guess that's a separate thing, but very unsettling. And then Megumi finally joins in the training. Absolutely love it. And then here's another thing. Here's another one I'm going to need your guys' help with. This one is in reference to The Kiss by Gustav Klimt. And I'm not entirely... my guess is that this is Yuta and Rika. It does look really odd, though. Really interesting. It's like this like demon thing with these two things on its head. Yuta killing Kuroushi, duh, yeah, because Yeah, they had to make out. They started making out, and then he fed the positive energy into him. Yeah. Good point. Good call out. And just crazy art here that is both called out to the original art and just looks really cool. Yeah, he's on his ground. He's on the ground. Yeah, kudo. Very cool. Yeah. Gotcha. Ugh, I don't like seeing Kuroushi looking like this. It makes me very uncomfortable seeing him so muscular. Moving on. The bomb's still dropping. We're still not going to pay off what that is in the opening yet, but obviously reference to the bomb dropping. And then we get to the part that I think Shadow Monarch was hoping we would go over, but obviously we're going through all of it because we're taking this frame by frame. Laughing Fox, French Kiss. French kisses are fatal. I don't know if you've ever had one before, but they're surprisingly deadly. So we get this next bit, which is a great little montage of a bunch of characters with a bunch of colors, and obviously we're going to go through all of them rather quickly though, because there's not too much to say here, at least as far as I can tell. It's everyone basically getting ready to fight, right? It's Yaga throwing off his jacket. We got Yuta putting on his wedding ring, summoning Rika. We've got, I assume this is one of the Zhang clan people. Not certain though. This part of the opening actually changes in episode 11. Paruranta, Ogi, Udaiji, and Jinichi get replaced. Really? Magister VV. First of all, welcome. Glad to see you're joining here, but interesting. I'll need to take a look at that. I may have missed that. I assume you're talking about the part with all the colors. Huh, interesting. Ranta stopping Maki with his technique. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So it is in the the Maki Massacre episode. With Ryu, Udo, Druve, and Kuro. Oh, really? Interesting. So then we got Gakuganji, of course, shredding his guitar. We've got Choso getting ready to use his his blood sniper. Higuruma with his executioner blade, and Yuji with his about to throw a punch. Then we get Register, who's about to use one of his receipts against Megumi, who's about to summon his domain, and Panda, who's about to do something very serious and definitely not play fight with Yuji. Oh, awesome. Didn't catch this before. Maki taking her sumo stance to start to clap and bait Naoya into his death. And another one of Zhang guys doing his serious punches. Or serious consecutive punches, I should say. Shoot. Hakari. We got Hakari here, who I don't think we really saw much of his technique. We kind of just saw it a little bit with his interacting with Yuji back in the room, but we haven't really seen it since. I wonder if we'll get more of that in the future. I don't know. It's cool he's here, though. I love how much extra meaning Maki doing sumo gets through the cultural context. Exactly, some known. Shout out to Alex, again, for bringing that out. Oh, shout out to Smagif, who analyzed that in Adari's reaction. First comment left on the channel. Okay, so yeah, he also brought it up. Awesome. Or it might have been, I'm pretty sure it was both of you, but yeah, shout out to you guys. It is a really cool, a bunch of people pointed out, the fact that the sumo is a very like masculine stance and very improper, especially in sumo, not just Japan, that a woman should be doing it, is just very defiant and perfect for Maki. We were several to mention it, yes. Of course you were, because you're the IPPC, and you can't just not mention something like that, right? It's perfect. It's perfect. As well as her line, I'll give you a big ol' hug, daite yario. So we get Hakare doing stuff, and we also get God, it's late. Fucking no, why am I forgetting your name? Oh my god. Help. Oh my god, I said her name. I said their name so many times too. I'm just, it's probably because I haven't eaten anything yet. Kidara, thank you, Sumknown. Smack it. Wow, I feel so special. Kirara, thank you all. Yeah. Hakuri closing the door on Yuji, by the way. Oh, yeah, bringing his hands together. And then Kirara, yeah. Thank you. And then Yuki, who we see basically nothing of in this season, past when she does her own thing. I guess because she's guarding Tengen, right? It's not. We won't want to see much of them. Then we get Maki's dad about to get his face sliced in half, and Naoya, who's using his frame by frame, desperate for a beating, which he very much gets. Oh, okay. So now we get into the rapid fire. Let's see how many references I can catch from the season. So we get the lasers, which is Ryu using his Granite Blaster. We get this, which I believe is Zane Clan, one of them using their freaking earthbending powers. And then we get this, which the thing I was most looking forward to seeing that Alex would bring up, and thankfully I was right. Tyler Durden Fight Club. And he has a little visual here, but it's just kind of a scene from Fight Club. It's not really a direct reference to anything from Fight Club, it looks like, but Fight Club is Fight Club, right? They can't just not reference Fight Club in Fight Club. Come on. This one's really interesting. I'm not sure what these are. If I had to guess, it would be more Zane Clan stuff with the fire and just kind of burning these old books. Not certain, though. Law books being burned. Okay. Max Bedard, Magister, Alex, Smagif. Yeah, law books. So this is very Higuruma coded. The Japanese 6 codes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, very cool. So yeah, Higuruma. Which is interesting because he actually isn't against the 6 codes, right? He is very much abiding by them, but I suppose it's just the sense of this change that needs to happen in this current system and the chaos, as you can see by everything strewn around, the torn paper, the knocked over cup of coffee. Then we get this, which is apparently referring back to the swans and the reeds, referring back to the Maki episode with Leaving Them Behind, which the episode was named after. Rest in peace, Mai. Mai's inner domain, yeah, exactly. Geese, thank you, Alex. The geese and reeds. Love the subtle addition of the coffee in the top right of the burning book to symbolize being tired. Yeah. Because Higuruma is, right? He's very tired and just exhausted from trying to fight against the system. Maki got a lot of shine in this opening, or am I crazy? Shadow Monarch, of course she did. She got episode 4. They gotta reference the hell out of it because it's one of the most iconic episodes of the season, right? Zane Clan gets a ton of focus. Yeah, that is very interesting. But it's also... It's interesting because I think it's very poignant. I think it makes a lot of sense because it happens all the way back in episode 4, right? Like 8 episodes from the end of the season, and we don't really see Mikey Smythe since then. And yet, despite that, it's such a pivotal and important moment in the story, right? In the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. So, not only is the episode just iconic, it's going to stay in your mind, but this feels like Goso using the opening, much like reminding us of Kenjaku, reminding us that even though we're not really seeing it, this massive change of what happened with the Zane Clan is still a big thing, right? So it's kind of cool that we're seeing it throughout here. It's just kind of bringing it back into your head that, yeah, the world's kind of changing in a lot of frightening, intense ways. And some know not letting the 6 codes thing go. Crumpled papers also giving the idea of trying but failing. Yeah, like finding a different plan, crumpling it up, trying another one. Great symbolism in that one. Fantastic. Then we get Kirara, who is, of course, with the constellations, the 5, the Southern Cross. Oh, this is Higuruma! When I was getting ready for the stream, I couldn't quite tell who this was, because I didn't recognize the sunflower. Yeah, so Higuruma in front of the, what I assume is like a justice building, a sort of a court, that is just exploding behind him as the sunflower burns. Lot of trauma. Recreation of volume cover. Oh, really? Interesting. This is really cute. Zhang Clan posing for like a family photo. Everyone in this photo is dead. Good thing Maki and Mai aren't in it. And this is another one that I'm going to need your guys' help with, because this is something that kind of surprised me, that probably surprised me and caught me off guard the most in the season. I wasn't expecting there to be... Oh, actually, hold on. Before I get into this, I'm getting ahead of myself. Zhang Clan, I believe there was another visual from Alex here. Boom, here we go. Zhang residence inspired by former bathhouse, now historic exhibition, Korakara Yu, located in the Edo, Tokyo Open Air Architecture Museum. There you go. Thank you, Alex. Very cool. So then we get here with Max noting how Yuki reminding us of her existence, LMAO. Yeah, this is the thing that surprised me most about the season. This part in the opening, which is very, like, blatantly Yuki and seems to be her, like, doing something, like, really cool, made me think that we were going to get her, like, maybe Yuta and her in the climax or something, but we don't really get much her, so I guess she's just aura farming to remind us that she's in the show and that she's a special grade and very powerful and very important. Some of those were sarcastic, some of those were actually serious, but it's nice that Yuki's here, okay? It's nice that we appreciate her for being here. We appreciate her. Max, would be interesting if you check the volume covers, but wouldn't advise you to search for them. Yeah, if you want to bring those in Discord, I'd be glad to take a look at them, but yeah, I'm probably not gonna go out of my way to look for them because that is just asking for trouble. So then we get into, obviously, the finale, the final episode, right? We get Kudo with all these... That's really interesting. It's like a cockroach of a clock, probably implying how he's sleeping, how he was kind of dormant for a lot of it. Really interesting. Cockroaches, the color change. And I'm not going to spend too much time here, but the bomb is dropping here. Interesting. Volcano, probably references to their past time, their past lives, and of course the sweets. And I assume this is the woman that he had in the past, lighting a cigar. Those look like feminine fingers. Not certain, though. And we got the part in the opening that always sticked in my head until I finally got here, and I'm glad I like Udo as much as I do, because her part in the opening always sticks with me for some reason. You smoked. Okay, so that was probably just for you then. Me just casually saying he has feminine fingers. I kind of agree with you, Shadow Monarch. I don't love the cockroach, but Kudo's great on his own right. The fuck is that triangle, though? Laughing Fox, are you referring to this one? Are you referring to the Dark Side of the Moon, the prism? Or are you referring to something else? Because you want to know what that is light being split through a prism, which I'm not actually sure. My first thought was that it's kind of referencing how she plays around with like space and air, which I guess that could be, but that wouldn't really affect light, so I'm not really sure. I much prefer Smagif's interpretation, as we find out here. Udo is a fan of Dark Side of the Moon. Aren't we all? In other news, the sky is still blue. And then we get this guy, Kruv. We get Druv here, with a bunch of burning stuff. Again, probably a bunch of small references. This can take us entirely too long to analyze. And of course we get our best boy Yuta here. Pinky promise with Rika. We get Rika in a reflection there, and just heartbreaking. Yuta does describe her technique as feeling like distortion from a lens, so it does bend light to some degree. Interesting. Ooh, Alex is providing the link. Hold on. Pause everything. Presumably to the volume cover. It is showing an error. Was that just the first one? It's showing up as an error on my end, Alex. I'm not able to see it for some reason. Unless it's just not copying the full link. Hold on. Let me see if I can find the... Let me see if I can access it in the chat over here. That's not correct. Oh, on. Let me try going on to YouTube and going from the chat over here. Works for me, strangely enough, Mr. Light. It might just be the like abridged version on the chat I'm looking at. It might be trying to just copy and paste the what's actually on there. So maybe if I look at it through the chat here, it still won't pull up. It's weird. Maybe if I copy it and then paste. Yeah, it's copying it like with the ellipses. It's copying it exactly as it shows it with the limited message. That's kind of frustrating. Max is providing it on Discord. Okay. Let me pull back up Discord then. Take a look at this real quick while we're here. Because y'all got nothing better to do. Let's see. Mind blowers? No. General HUD Pub. We got a bunch of pictures from Mr. Light here. Cyan had to share the... So cursed. Here we go, from Max. With a bunch of the covers. Okay, from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Takada-chan and Toto. Awesome. Why am I doing this over here? Hold on. I keep doing that. I keep pulling it up on the little one and then not bringing it over. You guys gotta look at this too, though. Mahito. Ooh, Choso and his brothers. Toji. Hold on. Gotta get back to OBS. Here we are. Got Ghetto here for number 9. Okay, so these are the 9 that we got. YouTube won't like the Mei one. Maybe it's later? Here we go. Oh, 19, here's the reference. Okay, so smelling the sunflower, and in the anime it's burning. That's quite cool. Okay, we got some Shibuya Instant stuff going on here, yeah. Ooh, wow. Jeez. This art is insane. Oh, pulling up the skull. That is intense. Now, yeah. Not sure who that is. Oh, wait, that's that, mustache. That's, Hakari, probably. And this is, of course, the U. That's through 20. Okay. Give 19 is Alex already provided it, yeah. Alex got the one. Okay, cool. That's the reference. Those are really cool arts. Wow. Do the 16, Mr. G. No. So, as I was saying before I was so rudely, generously interrupted, we've got Yuta here, of course, and then we've got the squad. We've got the squad of, not Sendai, but of Tokyo, colony number 1. Sorry, I just gotta linger on here for a second because one of the characters is on there. Gotta appreciate the screen time she gets. Zane clan going to get ice cream. Big members of the Zane clan and running away from the ice cream store. This is presumably, with those like colors in the show, it's probably a reference to Center Man, which obviously he's based on. Shitsugo? Alex, help. Help. What is he saying? What is he telling us? What hidden message is he trying to pass on to us? I mean, I see a lot of messages on the screen, but in the text bubble, Alex, help. Google Lens says let's go. Thank you, Smagif. Oh, that's a day. That's right. Let's go. Yeah. Never mind, Alex. Never mind. It's just English. It's just English. And then we get more Zhang clan members, definitely not about to get slaughtered. We get the two little helicopter people, also about not to get brutalized, with, again, that Clip's kind of moon in the background. Kenjaku's always there, right? We get the Kusakabe's sister. One of the craziest bits in the opening, just the sea of blood, the splash of blood is just washing over Maki. Anything goes wrong. Everyone, Alex, help! Did you get to see the Centerman sketch, Alex? I think I did a while ago, back when you saw it. It's been a while, though. I should have gone back to it for this one. Don't tell me that was actually a reference to this one, or this is actually a reference to that one. Because I'll have to go back and rewatch that again, then. I can appreciate it. I won't play it on here, just because I'm not that desperate to stretch out the runtime. You guys can check it out in Discord if you want to see that, but I do gotta rewatch it. So here we get Maki, and we get the next reference, I believe. Yes. This is Ophelia. Another one of the few names I know, by John Everett Millay. John Everett Millay? I'm gonna say Millay. But it's Ophelia. Her sinking into the water, of course, like her memory, but also the flowers of memory. Alex, no, but the screen in the background is. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, it is that. That's why that looked familiar to me, vaguely. We get these two absolute adorable goobers. Seeing Hakari with such a big smile, just, I can't help but have a big smile too. And Kirara is obviously adorable, as she always is. Shadow Monarch, that's Mai, no? Oh, that's right, that's Mai, not Maki. My bad. Yeah, you're right. Maki would have all the scars and stuff. Oh, it's horrible. Yeah, that's Mai, so remembrance, yeah, farewell. Horrible. I got done so dirty. She kind of had to for Maki's journey to go as it should, but oh, it's absolutely terrible. Ooh, there's another thing I didn't catch in the openings previously. Udo redirecting one of used lasers. Very cool. Just blasting him with his own medicine for the first time. Let me get through the slideshow. I think that was the last one I had here. And then, of course, we finally get... That is not Udo. Oh, it's the arc. Yeah. That's not Udo. That's Udo's ability, yeah. Yuta redirecting. Yeah. It's his pot shot. Finishing off that fight. Yeah. Yuta defeating Ryu. Very cool. Using Udo's ability. Close enough. Come on, details. And then finally, well, almost, we get the bomb coming down. And I love how all these parts we actually have the bomb as we're flashing through these things. So it's kind of keeping in the center of the frame as it's going down and down. And this is a stupid Wi-Fi joke, isn't it? God damn it. Moving on. We get the reverse side of the... We get the reverse side of the fucking prison realm. And it looks like the bomb breaks through it to this. What is this? A bunch of, like, butterflies. What is this? That is the post lamp of the Yaga chapter. Oh, Yaga's moths. Okay, yeah, it's the light shining over him. Okay, gotcha. The moths, yeah, okay. Cool, very cool. Thanks for bringing that up, Sumknown. Appreciate that. And then, of course, Yuji with his blood red hands. One of the most obvious and also one of the most hard hitting moments in the opening. Just and the gears that he is, of course, one of, and the the campfire that they're all around in episode 2. Then finally back to the city. Kaboom. Obviously, Kenjaku having the time of his life. Oh, what a brilliant opening. What a phenomenal opening. Once again, a million, 2 million thanks to Alex for putting together those images, putting together all those references, and providing me just with the MP4 link of this opening so I could go through it frame by frame. It's absolutely brilliant, right? This opening is brilliant. The season is brilliant. It's just a great time all around. It so well encapsulates the Culling game and the insanity and embracing the chaos that we have to deal with. It's just perfect. And I'm glad I finally got the time to like go through it in depth and like really break it down, because it absolutely deserves it. There's so much in it, and not only are there a bunch of references for reference sake, but the ones that actually like there's so much that mean things, right? And that really benefit from being these references. Again, like here with Kenjaku, or I guess Ms. Itadori embracing in the dark Yuji in the darkness. There's so much on here, which is phenomenal. Yeah, Laughing Fox, you missed the ED stream. We did a full ED one. We didn't do the visuals too much. I went through the visuals of it in pretty good detail in like the first episode when I was reacting to it, but we went through like the full lyrics of it and just a comprehensive musical and lyrical analysis of it. If you want the actual visual analysis, though, that's, I think, episode 1 of season 3. I would say it's a pretty solid analysis of the ED, which is very cool. But yeah, this opening is just phenomenal. The season is phenomenal. The show is phenomenal. I'm not sure if it's going to be an 8 or 9 for me. Again, check out my VODs for my Mal if you want to see why I'm not putting it as a 10. I have a very specific reason for it. But I've got to sit on it more, and I've got to wait and get ready for Vinland Saga. And we'll see how that goes, because apparently that's a show that people are really excited for, so I'm also really excited for it. This weekend, we will get either very sad news, Goso won't be involved, or great news from Shadow Monarch. Ooh. I heard that Goso wouldn't be, at the very least, we wouldn't be directing season 4. I really hope we don't get the news that he's not involved at all, because he did a beyond phenomenal job for season 3. I think we can all agree. It's absolutely unbelievable. So I do really hope he's going to be involved with this one. The musical video of the song has references to, but is no 100% JJK. Talking about AIZO. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about with AIZO. Yeah. I've seen some of it. It's pretty interesting. I'm probably not going to go through that too much. Partially because my throat's tired and I got to end the stream off pretty soon because I'm running out of voice now. But yeah, the music videos are really great. If you haven't checked them out, definitely take a look at them. They're really good. Off topic, but did you know that the 5th ending of Chainsaw Man contains references and spoilers from part 2 of the manga? Of course, you only realize it when you know what's happening. I did not, actually. I mean, I know that Chainsaw Man, obviously, its opening has a bunch of references just like this one, but just look at the 3rd ending, the one that the full version still hasn't been released, because when they made the song, they made it like full of spoilers from like all throughout the Chainsaw Man manga, so they have to release it in pieces. Or I think it was all throughout the first like part of Chainsaw Man. So we're getting that in pieces, but Chainsaw Man, yeah, also very clearly a work of passion, a passion project from the manga, right? And it's clear that JJK is in the same vein, which is just an absolute treasure to see. It's an absolute joy to see. And before you ask it, yes, I will be reacting to Chainsaw Man on this channel. That's not going to be up for debate on the polls. As soon as the next season, season 2 comes out, I'm going to be reacting to it as it comes out. So whenever that'll be. King knew his peak, 100%. AIZO was goated, 100%. What a great song to play over Ryu and Yuta beating the crap out of one another, 100%. Absolute phenomenal way to end off the season. bringing that age-old trope back, which we don't really see around too much anymore, where they play the opening during the climax. Great to see, though. Both are by Studio Mappa, so same animation team even. They did get split so they could work on both, though. And they have different directors. Yeah, Studio Mappa is pretty goated. I think we can all agree on that, so it's great to see their projects are turning out really, really well. Sadly, JJK was amazingly adapted, but has many problems with Chainsaw Man's Season 1 adaptation. Interesting, Max. I'm not familiar with the problems of Chainsaw Man Season 1's adaptation. I mean, I enjoyed the season quite a bit. I haven't read the manga, but I would be curious to hear you elaborate on that. Probably in the Discord, though. There's probably more to say than would be fitting in a live chat. So I would definitely like to hear more about that, though. Because it is really well done, at least from what I can tell. But I haven't read the manga, so I can't really talk about how the adaptation of Chainsaw Man was. And yeah, there's the Mappa event coming up, which is really exciting. Yeah, not the right place. Yeah. So, yeah. We've been going on for around 3.5 hours. I think we're going to end off the stream pretty soon with that. I've shown off the for show and tell what I wanted to show off. So, unless you guys have anything else you wanted to bring up, like any questions about JJK, like just anything about my opinions or anything, any takes, then yeah, we'll see. And then we'll just move forward. And I mean, I won't say we'll put JJK behind us. Obviously, JJK is a very like formative part of this channel, so it's always going to be part of this community. And in the Discord, which someone is telling me to check. Okay. Let me take a look. Oh, Mr. Light extracted the alt section of the opening in episode 11. So we've got the different characters with their colors. Oh, very cool. Okay, hold on. Pulling up the pip again. Here's a little sneak peek into the Discord, I suppose. Okay. Uh-oh. Hold on. Pause. Okay, so go to Mr. Light. We got all the different colors. We got Ryu slicking back his hair, getting ready to fire a blast. Sakabe, we've got Ura with her thin icebreaker. And there he is. Okay, I'm surprised I missed this. I've been watching it so many times. I'm surprised I didn't see it on here. Yeah, then we've got Drew here. And there he is. Kudo. I was waiting for him. Very fast. Oh my god, it's like a single frame. Man, they really did that boy dirty, didn't they? Well, there he is, chilling. Cool. Jesus Christ, y'all are awful. That is where Goju's blue went. Yeah. I've been playing around with the colors. Right now it's just blue, because why not? I don't know. Don't judge me. Actually, do judge me very loudly in the comments, in front of everyone. It's not my kink. Officially. Shadow Monarch, your favorite episode out of the entire series? That is a very good question. I actually have an answer to that question, believe it or not. My favorite episode of the entire series is... Let me double check just to make sure I'm pulling up the right one. And those of you long time who've seen my entire series might know where I'm going with this. But it's actually been the same, my favorite episode, since season 1. So there's a big hint for you. Okay, no, it is that one. Yeah. Yeah. My favorite episode in all of JJK so far is season 1, episode 20. The episode where Todo reveals most of the true power of his technique, Boogie Woogie. It is an absolute joy of an episode. It's an absolute blast. If you watch my reaction, I'm smiling from ear to ear like an absolute fool. It's just an absolute great time. I adore that episode so much. So I would say that's still my favorite episode, probably. Even though there have been really good episodes since then, that one still has the. It just hit me so hard, honestly. And now say two more. Oh God. Let's see. Season 3, episode 9 was pretty freaking phenomenal. What would my third be? See, I'm trying really hard not to say season 2, episode 17, like a boring fucking. Like a bland ass. I'm trying really hard not to say that. Fuck it. Season 2, episode 17. I'm pretty sure it's episode 17. Yeah, the episode where he just goes, where the animators just decide that they actually not only do they not get paid enough, they actually get paid too much and need to put in way more work than they're putting in. So they just decide to do that. So those are my top 3 episodes, I would say. But it's really close. It's hard to choose because there's so many good episodes in this show. Laughing Fox, Drew got more seconds. Drew being more in the opening than Kudo is crazy. Tragic. Best OST in JJK is an impossible question for me from some known. That one's actually pretty easy for me, even though I haven't really heard all of them, so it's a little bit biased, but I actually own 2 OSTs in JJK on my iTunes. Divide and Conquer and Ripple. So like 2 of like objectively the best OSTs. I know it's a pretty basic answer, but it's also just like objectively correct. Those 2 OSTs are just utterly phenomenal. So it's hard not to it's hard not to pick those, right? It's hard to pick one other than that, unless you're just trying to go against the grain. Ooh, we've got a bunch of different tracks in the comments here. Alex, and now 56 more. You just want me to rank every single episode. That would be really hard. Oh, Stalemate and Conquer. Sorry, did I say Divide and Conquer? Oh my god, I'm dumb. Stalemate and Conquer. My bad. My bad. My bad. Kind of nuts. I feel like the quality consistency was up one whole march in season 3. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Season 1, episode 20 is just really close to my heart. Just so much fun for me. I love climax jumping for the man Aoi Toto motif. Shadow Monarch 3-9 is second for me. That Higgy and Yuji fight hit me so hard it's not even funny. It really did, honestly. Such a good episode. It genuinely could have been the finale of the season. I would have been totally fine with that. You can never go wrong with the remix of The Changing World. Mr. Light, absolutely, 100%. 100%. Yeah, there's just so many good tracks. I really need to take some time out to listen to the OST. And now that we're kind of in between seasons, I won't be watching much JJK. That's probably a good time as any, right? And while I'm doing it, I can also look back on all of Sumknown's comments and educate myself on the true brilliance of them. But yeah, there's so many good soundtracks, so many good episodes. I can tell no one's asking me for my favorite character because you all already know that Miwa has a special place in my heart, followed very closely by Toto, Yuta, and Akarinita, of course. It's kind of ridiculous because it's just kind of objectively correct, so. Ooh, Alex bringing up season 2, episode 20. The author broke the fourth wall with Mahito's dialogue. What did you think this was? Yeah, the war. You're trying to sympathize with curses. We're just talking nonsense. Yeah, great moment, great moment. Thank you for doing God's work, some known. Absolutely. O7's in the chat for some known, for bringing out all the OST analyses. Absolutely legendary. Speaking of hidden inventory, super weird they made Ravage for the compilation mode. Huh, interesting. Shadow Monarch, gonna head out now. Fun stream, great opening breakdown. All right, thank you for being here. Thank you for enjoying. And I'm gonna close this off pretty soon as well, so because I'm really losing my voice. I'm not gonna take another water break because I think we've done our bit. We went through the opening. We did a quite thorough send off to JJK, which is kind of crazy to say. It's gonna take a while for it to sink in that we're done with JJK until season 4. But I guess I'm caught up with all you non-manga readers, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's next. I hope you're looking forward to it as well. Thank you everyone who is here, who participated, and just made this an absolute blast of a stream. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next one from wherever I'm going next. Unfortunately, I don't have a farewell screen to send you guys off on. I'll have to make that for the next one. So I guess I'll just send you back to the starting soon one in a sec. But until then, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. And until the next one, wherever I see you next, have a lovely rest of your day.